Hey there, Knicks fans. You hear us talking about fair play, earning fan cash on your bets, even sweepstakes to win more fan cash. But now it's time to talk squad bets with FANATICS Sportsbook. Squad bets is the smartest way to parlay, so one underperforming leg doesn't bust your bet. Build a custom squad bet by combining player stats into one bet. Pick points, rebounds, assists, or threes and set your target. With squad bets, your bet stays alive till the very end, because when one player slips, another can step up. One player cannot bust your parlay. Track it live, cash out whenever you want. It's squad bets only on FANATICS Sportsbook. Parlays hit different here.
I'll tell you what, though. The collaboration, though, off the charts, man. High-level collaboration in that game. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by FANATICS Sportsbook, where the Knicks, for the second consecutive playoff game, have lost an absolute heartbreaker. Different kind of heartbreaker. In game two, gave away the big lead. Game three, came back from the big deficit, down by as many as, I believe, 18 points. And they fought. Withstood a lot of punches returned from the Atlanta Hawks over the course of that game. Every time the Knicks made a push, the Hawks, seemed to have a punch ready to respond. And they kept swinging, and you swung enough to have a 3-point lead in the final, I think it was 90 seconds or so. And they could not pull it out. And I have Benjy Ritholtz here with me to help digest with him. And I know I usually have pretty lengthy monologue, getting out a big, recap, resuscitation. I don't have much before I get to Benjy other than two things. First of which is the Knicks now face a game 4, which it is not an overstatement to say this era of Knicks basketball probably hinges on the result of this game on Saturday. I don't think that's an overstatement to say. I think if you go down 3-1, the odds are you're going to lose the series. And if the Knicks lost this first round series, I will just say right now, it would be the most disappointing, the most consequential first round loss in the history of this franchise since the playoffs went to 16 teams in, I think, the early 80s. And it would be one of the more significant, and I leave that word out there as a general significant, take of that what you will, because anything you take from it's going to be accurate. It would be one of the more significant first round defeats in recent NBA history for a variety of reasons that we don't need to really get into tonight, but I did just want to set the stage in terms of the consequences of that loss, which only leaves us to talk about why they lost the game and how they lost the game. And I'm very thankful that I have Benjy here, because that is a game where some players played extraordinarly well. OG Anunoby probably winds up taking the player of the game when you wind up looking at his final stat line and the overall impact that he had. Karl-Anthony Towns, certainly as big of an impact as a player can have on 12 shots. Not a terrible game from Jalen Brunson. Not a great game from Jalen Brunson. I'm curious if Benjy thinks this was a good game from Jalen Brunson. I'm not having a little trouble mustering enough strength to say that. And then there were the Knicks' other two starters who, if you're going to put the blame on the floor, lies squarely with both of them, albeit for very different reasons. But Benjy, I got to tell you, I'm having trouble with this team down 2-1 looking anywhere, at least at first, other than the guy holding the clipboard, because I feel like there's been some coaching malpractice through the first 3 games in this series. And I understand there are a lot of people out there probably watching this who are going to respond to that saying, well, of course, the guy who loved Tibbs is going to sit here and say that. I haven't criticized Mike Brown all year. Quite literally, I have not criticized them. I've pointed out like the Cat Brown relationship and like that was fraud and like was that the source of a lot of this team's issues. But as far as his coaching, rotations, X's and O's, like whatever you want to talk about, I haven't said word one about it. There have been nights where people were like, "Get him out of here," yada yada yada. And I was like, "No, it's fine. Let's talk in the playoffs." And now we're in the playoffs, and it is just so unsettling to go from a coach who, well, God knows, was so far from perfect and did a lot of things that angered a lot of people and ultimately angered the wrong people, which is why, or the wrong person, which is why he's not still the coach of the team. But there was a baseline of preparedness. There was a baseline of in the moment, like not getting rattled. You know, if there's an easy advantage, going to take advantage of the easy advantage. If not, you know, move on to the next one. And it feels like that all has evaporated. And now the Knicks are staring their own mortality in the face. And it just feels extraordinarily unfortunate. And I'm a mix of angry and sad. And I don't know which is probably, I think I was more angry the other night. I think I'm just more sad tonight. But with that, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
With that, you're gonna turn it over to me.
I mean, is there anything else I should have hit at the top?
No, look, this is a heartbreaker in such a different way from game 2, and I think I couldn't help throughout the comeback in the fourth quarter thinking like this is actually a tremendous performance by the Knicks in certain ways. But it should have been, it so clearly should have been, this was the classic game 3 that the team comes home down 2-0. Their role players play better than they did in the Garden.
Yep.
They make a lot of threes.
Yep.
They're out shooting the Knicks through the entire game by a long shot from 3. And if the Knicks lose the game, they lose the game, and it's 2-1. It's a classic game 3. And yet the Knicks actually, the performance they put on to kind of counteract that and to grind their way back in the game, searching for solutions, hustling. Every time they got it down to 7, went back to 10, 11, 12. They get it all the way back at the end. Like, that was impressive from New York.
Extraordinarily.
And the sad part is, to your point, John, and as you know, and as anyone who follows me knows, I do lay it at the foot of the coach. The game 2 collapse just overwhelms this performance. You can accept this loss.
Sure.
The Knicks came all the way back, didn't execute as well as Atlanta down the stretch. Okay. And you move on to game 4 up 2-1. The problem here isn't the game 3 performance. There's what to talk about in game 3. The strategic advantages that Atlanta has slowly developed over the course of these 3 games. But this was all in all a pretty impressive performance by New York that goes to waste and becomes almost like a more disappointing result in a way because game 2 happened. And I can't get game 2 out of my head watching. That was a great game. It was a great dramatic playoff game. Yeah. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I cannot believe game 2 happened. And that is the coach. And no matter what happens the rest of the series, it's not over. It's very far from over. The Knicks can play with this team. The Knicks can beat this team. The Knicks still should beat this team. I really believe that. I really believe that. Not
Should's
say they
doing
will.
A lot of work
they
there,
should.
Benji.
I'm just saying it's not over. Whatever happens in this series from here on out, game 2 will loom large like the monster in the closet that you cannot shut that door on because it was a monstrosity of a game to lose. And I can't get it out of my head. Game 3 is just like it happened and it was a good game. And I'm like, this is a fine loss in the context of what should have been a 2-0 series.
So I think what I'm struggling with just tonight are a couple things. One, this is now the 3rd game of the series. through 3 games, the Hawks have shown no ability to have any kind of an answer for Karl-Anthony Towns. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I will.
They've bothered him now with
done. Yeah, go ahead.
They've bothered him with physicality. But as far as an answer,
yeah, I would say that the Knicks, and I actually had a tweet in the draft that I didn't end up sending, but the Knicks seem to think that Jonathan Kuminga is an answer because when he's out there on Towns, they just don't run anything for him. And I cannot for the life of me figure out when Jonathan Kuminga became like a shutdown corner that we can't go to Karl-Anthony Towns after he dominates the entire third quarter. I cannot understand it, John. I don't get it.
It doesn't make any sense. Karl-Anthony Towns was a plus 22 in the game tonight. In a game they lost by 1. Got 12 shots. And maybe more importantly than that, played 34 minutes. I went back because I was like, I thought I was going crazy. I went back and looked at his minute totals from last postseason. Like, I know Karl-Anthony Towns is not like Bam Adebayo in terms of the shape he keeps himself in. I understand that. Karl-Anthony Towns had a lot of games in the playoffs last year where he played upwards of 40, in the high 30s, 40, over 40 a few. And we're sitting here and we're at 34 minutes. And so there was some small ball tonight, which when that lineup came in, I was like, there's so much to dig into here. That they got outscored a lot of stretches tonight. One of which was when they went small. And when I'm watching that, and I understand Mitchell Robinson was a minus 11 tonight in 11 minutes. There were absolutely issues, and I'm curious what you think about why he was a minus 18 in those 11 minutes and like how he played when he was out there. The fact that you I wouldn't even say that because Mike Brown told you before the game. He's like, I don't think this is a Mitchell Robinson series. He's effectively said, I don't think this is a series for Mitchell Robinson. A guy who has won multiple playoff series for your franchise. And you want to talk about putting your money where your mouth is. To then be like, no, I'm just going to go without a center when I have this guy on the bench. At that moment, I thought I was taking crazy pills.
Mitchell Robinson has dominated the Atlanta Hawks this year. Again, the way this should have gone, John, like, and Tibbs was formulaic in a way, so that
the most formula.
The series were very understandable. Like the way this goes with Tibbs, Atlanta makes the first adjustment in the fourth quarter of game 1. They put Daniels on Cat, which maybe they should have done from the beginning. They didn't, and they finally get there at the end of game 1. The Knicks didn't make any adjustments. Didn't have to make any adjustments. The defensive game plan was working. And it just feels like Mike Brown has like put himself into the adjustment blender without ever having needed to do so. And that is like, he's overthinking the series in a way to me where like, no, Mitchell Robinson's like probably one of your best 5 players. Like he's part of the solution. He should be effective in this series. He should destroy Mo Gay. Now, did they stretch him out a little bit when they have Mo Gay at the 5? Yeah, but like Mitch got 2 offensive rebounds. They didn't necessarily capitalize on them. Like you trust the data that Mitchell Robinson is a net positive, and there's no reason this matchup should be any different at all. That's crazy to me.
And there was also during a stretch when like every Hawk role player was hitting every 3.
Correct.
Was that Mitchell Robinson's fault? I'm sorry, I'm not putting that on Mitch.
It's just like he's overthought this. And he's going small all of a sudden, which like the Knicks just don't. I mean, I applauded Mike Brown's creativity in the regular season to do things like this occasionally to prepare you for potential need in the playoffs. But I think he's doing it before he has the need. And on the other end of that, he's making too many adjustments while also not being desperate enough. To your point, Karl-Anthony Towns had 2 fouls tonight. He's a plus 22. How are you playing 34 minutes? What are we doing here? Like, this is the playoffs. This is your job on the line, I would think.
Oh, well, it's not just he's trying to take some folks with him off the bow.
He's not getting out of an Atlanta series. So like I can't believe he played Cat 34 minutes. Like there is an urgency that you need come playoff time. And he seems to just be a little too casual about this series and has been from the beginning. So it's on both ends. It's problematic to me. It's like over adjusting. And then like the easiest adjustment in the playoffs is always play your best guys more minutes. And he's not really pulling that lever. And we haven't mentioned Mikal Bridges yet, so we probably should get there. But we're talking about Mike Brown right now. Like, it has been a bad series. And tonight wasn't, again, like whatever he did, the stretch in the beginning of the fourth quarter again, where they just cannot score when they don't have those two guys on the floor. I can't accept it.
The fact that you allowed, after what you saw in game 2, to have that opening of the fourth quarter, the fact that you did not set up your rotations in such a way that would not happen, I'm sorry, it's coaching malpractice. It's nothing other than coaching malpractice. And like, look, I get it. This is gonna be about Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is gonna be the headliner after this game, and which effectively is a way to say that Leon Rose is gonna be the headliner after this game. Because when we're talking about Mikal Bridges, we're talking about that was the move. That was the move. That was the move that was 5 years in the making. If you want to go back to fucking Steve Mills was still here because he started saving those picks. And it, I mean, we could get to that now, but just like I just, and then the last possession, I'm not sure what that was. I don't know if you want to say about what you.
I think they were trying to get Brunson on a flare off of Towns, but the inbound came to a weird place, and I think it messed up the whole spacing of the play. And I haven't had a chance to watch it back, but that's kind of I thought it was actually an interesting idea that didn't go well, and then Brunson got caught in the trees.
Yeah.
I'm
like
not
Dyson Daniels was on his ass. He fell.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It definitely didn't. They didn't hit the flare. I'm like, yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work. So it's, I don't know. Yeah, it is. Look, out of timeouts down the stretch, Atlanta's been better now 2 straight games. That's not what you expected. McCollum's been better than Brunson by a lot down the stretch of games. That's not what you expected. I probably, if I'm bringing Bridges into that game, another kind of question mark on Brown. Like, McCollum wants to get to the mid-ranger over a small. So you have Bridges coming in. Maybe just throw Bridges on McCollum and put Deuce on Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Why? How about OG?
Well, OG, because you were small, OG had to guard Okongwu, I think was.
So then how about maybe bring in your center who's an old defense caliber player when he's healthy? How about that as a fucking idea?
They wanted to be switchable, but I again, I don't think that's the switchability of it. I probably would go with Mitch. I can understand him wanting to go small, and especially with Mitch having not played.
He played 11 minutes tonight.
Yeah, so like I get being switchable. I just probably would have gone with Mikal. But again, maybe his thought process there was Mikal had been sitting for a long time, which he did deserve to do. So yeah, Mikal Bridges didn't score. Every time he dribbles, it's a turnover hazard. He's playing good defense. I don't know what to say about this. This is hard to believe that this player's devolved into a total non-factor on offense, a liability on offense. Like, how did this? He hasn't been a liability on offense in his entire career.
So this is why I'm having a little bit of trouble talking about this game, because, as you said, the Knicks could still come back and win the series. They probably should come back and win the series. Probably argue they should win it in 6 games. Although I wouldn't bet any money on that. But in some ways, the story, like the narratives are already there. Like because if you look at the last 2 years, if you just the big bright line stuff, 5 first-round picks for this, cash in your chips for this player. This player has a first year in New York that everybody agrees is generally underwhelming, and he did not see eye to eye with the coach. That angered the wrong people, including the owner, who gets involved and says, all right, well, you guys traded all these picks for this player. it doesn't seem like he's worth all those picks based on how he just played. I know he had a couple of really great defensive plays at the end of Boston games, but like, doesn't seem like he's worth all those picks. He doesn't seem to be thrilled with the coach. I guess it's the coach, right? And yeah, that sounds great, Jim. Okay, bye, Tom. No, not Jason. No, not Ime. No, not Billy. No, not who else did they get denied permission to speak to? I'm forgetting like 5 names. Whatever. Oh, Mike, you're here? Oh, wait, sorry, hold on. Taylor? Oh, no, you don't like how much oversight we want to have? No, well, thanks for your consideration, Taylor. We do appreciate you coming in for a chat. Mike, you still there? Oh, still okay. Pick up the red courtesy phone. Fantastic. Job is yours. First choice all along. And with the ostensible reason of Mikal Bridges didn't work out on the last guy. Now and it starts off fantastic. First month and a half. Oh, wow, look at this. 5 assists a game. He's involved in the offense, this and this. And slowly but surely, it devolves into the same shit that we saw last year, except worse. And it's because Mikal Bridges, for all of his skills, there is a certain set of things that he was traded here to do that he has not really done since day one. And doesn't matter if coach is Tom Thibodeau, doesn't matter if coach is Mike Brown, doesn't matter if coach is Red Holzman. The player is the player, which is something you've said in some different words many times. And now this player, who they traded what they traded for and they can't get it back, is coming back to bite them in the ass on multiple levels. On the level of, you got the last coach out of here because of him. Not saying Mikal said, I want a different coach. Or I'm not putting any words in Mikal's mouth, but it was not working between those two guys. Or at least it was not working to the level of effectiveness you wanted. And yet you're still left with him. And this is what he gave you in the biggest game of the season thus far, where your new head coach brought in to quote unquote fix him, said, oh, you know how we fix Mikal Bridges? We give him his warm-ups. That's how we fix him and get him off the floor. What the fuck are we doing here? It is amazing how much this organization was on the right track. And by the way, overcame all sorts of bullshit to make it a collapse away, I would argue, from the finals last year. And now we are sitting here and I'm talking to you about a coach who played Mitchell Robinson 11 minutes and didn't apparently know that there's such a thing in the NBA as a user to lose a timeout, and it has completely lost one of his key players. And and is playing another one is one of his all-stars 34 minutes. Like, how did we get here? And we are here, to be very clear. I know it's in the middle of the series. I know like they can still come in, win 3 games in a row. We are here because if the fucking number one talking point of the NBA playoffs after this game is not, holy shit, are the Knicks in it right now, then national media, you're not doing your job. Anybody out there who doesn't like what they hear over the next couple days, over the next 48 hours after this loss, write this down. 4 Penn Plaza, New York, New York. That's where you send your fucking complaints to. You don't send them to Stephen A. Smith, whoever Zach Lowe, Bill Simmons. You don't send them to any of that, because let me tell you something. Every goddamn thing the Knicks are going to get said about them over the next couple of days has been earned. That's where we're at.
No, it's existential. They're at an existential moment. And I look, I think it's worth pausing. I really do. Not to be mean.
That's why I need you, Benji.
I think it's worth pausing. No, I'm not going to get positive. I'm going to get worse. Just to read this stat line. This stat line is actually incomprehensible. I don't think I've ever seen a stat line like this. You ready for this?
Please.
0 points on 0 of 3 shooting and 0 of 2 from 3-point. This is 20 minutes. A single rebound, 2 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 personal fouls, minus 26 in a game you lost by 1. That is one of the worst stat lines you will ever see by any NBA player who plays 20 minutes. And this is a guy you traded 5 first-round picks for. You won't see a worse stat line than that. It's hard to turn the ball over 4 times without scoring a point in the NBA. Really hard. That's crazy. I'm reading it. I don't believe it. Minus 26. So, look, I think you undersold his playoff performance last year, which I think was generally solid. Not to justify, nothing about his performance since he's been here has justified the picks or even close to it. But I thought he was a positive contributor through the playoffs last year. But
the efficiency, I can never get over the efficiency and how he was a non-factor offensively in the first 3 quarters.
No, it's nothing great.
No, it was a fine enough postseason for your 4th best player,
right?
Considering the big moments.
But this is shocking. He can't put. They tried to run a little. They brought him back in at some point. They tried to run a little pick and roll for him to get. I forget, he was running it. I guess he was getting either Mo Gay in the action or it was Okongwu, whatever, trying to get into the drop so maybe he can walk into a mid-range jumper. He can't dribble on these guys. They just take it from him every time he puts it on the floor. And he doesn't want any part of it anymore. It is, so like hard to overcome that in a way. I don't blame Brown for that. You're right to say that like he hasn't fixed Mikal Bridges the way he was sold to maybe do so. But you lay a lot of blame on the feet of the coach. Rightfully so. I'm there with you.
It's everybody,
but man, like you, it is really hard to have that poor performance in an NBA game by anyone. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like that might be the worst performance in the playoffs thus far.
Yeah, I think considering I'm
serious. By any player, any player who played 20 minutes, I'm not sure you're finding a worse impact game.
I think it might be the worst playoff performance by a Knick of the Leon Rose era, and I watched Julius Randle against the Hawks several years ago.
Yeah, so man, I mean, it's nice to see some Deuce McBride making some threes and doing his thing again, and the Knicks will need him to find himself. It looks like he maybe did tonight.
Well, I think we're going to get a couple things. One, I think we're going to get a starting lineup change. I don't think you can run Mikal Bridges out there.
It's Deuce for Mikal would probably be it, no?
And to be clear, I think so. I don't think there's been firm reporting. I think the firmest reporting on it was from Bondi, saying that there were discussions of Shamet being inserted into the starting 5 at some point during the year. I don't think it was ever got more specific than that.
Right.
I don't for one single solitary second believe that was going to be a change for Josh Hart. I think all you need to do is listen to Mike Brown talk about Josh Hart and know that was not going to be the change. I think it was always going to be the Bridges going to the bench. And Shamet has not had that successful of a play. Landry Shamet, guy who was instrumental, and you've pointed out shooting slump at the worst time. Still, really interesting to me. Again, I brought it up on the watch along, and I'm sorry to invoke this gentleman's name again, but the last head coach was fond of saying you build habits. Build habits in training camp. You build habits over 82 games, and then you build habits that are going to prepare you for the long playoff run. And it's not that you can't go away from things in the postseason that work for you in the regular season. You often do need to. But to your going back to the Mitchell Robinson has owned the Atlanta Hawks. And to see a bad half, or I guess maybe I don't know what else Mike Brown saw, and go away from Landry Shamet's been one of your most important players. I understand he's struggling a little bit right now, but to look at his minute total and see 3 minutes, I'm like, okay. I mean, Alvarado 6 because Alvarado made a couple shots tonight, so credit to him for that. It seems like he's coaching by the seat of his pants.
Yeah, it's not. I don't disagree with him that Shamet shouldn't play very much right now. I just think the shooting regression came at the wrong time. He kind of knew it was coming. He was playing over his head, I think, for a month or two there, frankly. And when you got Deuce back, I think Deuce does a lot of the things that Shamet does, but better.
That's fair. That's fair.
And look, Clarkson, some good plays, some bad plays, but like I understand also
4 of 11 shots in 17 minutes. It's a lot.
But he feels the need to get some creation. Again, this goes back to Mikal without another ball handler. And as much as I appreciate Deuce's shooting tonight, every time he passes the ball, it seems to be a turnover. So I don't want him handling the ball. So I think he just feels like I got to get Clarkson some minutes to handle the basketball. I just don't have enough creation on the floor. So I understand why Shamet isn't playing. I don't begrudge him that, but I agree with you that it just doesn't seem buttoned up. And this is a team
the process seems fraught.
That has been extremely healthy for the most part over the course of 82 games with the team that's played together basically for 2 years now with only a couple of changes. And to think that he came to a playoff series not really sure what his rotations were,
staggering.
Is it's not a good look. It's not a good look. And to go look, coach, we always say like coaches have access to certain data, their practice. We're at a bit of a knowledge deficit. You always have to recognize that when you're analyzing coaching. But we have enough data to say, man, like Towns without Brunson is a lineup that has sustained this team over some stretches of basketball. And he needs to be in those moments. He just has to be. Not just, by the way, because the team does well, but for him, it's like when he gets to run wild. He needs it because Brunson doesn't pass in the ball sometimes. So like, that one, I have to watch them just not be able to get into the paint for another 3-minute stretch because he won't play anyone. He won't play Towns or Brunson. Like, Deuce McBride's shooting, trying to get fouled on a 3. Doesn't Alvarado takes a 40-foot 3. That's the best. You can't get into the paint. What are we doing?
So I've been very generous with your time.
Sorry, I'm ranting.
By all means. What's 1 or 2 things you want to see for Game 4?
Yeah.
Other than I don't even want to make the joke.
Look, I thought defensively after a bad first half, I thought I did think that they found some traction. Brunson is getting this is as relentless as I've seen. I thought Boston would be the most relentless I've ever seen. Atlanta is close. They are relentlessly finding him. And I thought, look, there's a mixture of like shot making over him, which I think you can accept. Brown doesn't know where to put him. He puts him on Daniels, and Daniels just gets these offensive rebounds around and over him. Got a huge
one in the fourth quarter.
Huge. Like he can't keep look, this happened all Detroit series with Asar Thompson. Like when you put him on these athletic wings, sometimes teams don't bring him into the action because they know if I miss, I'm going to get a corner rebound. Brunson just doesn't have the ability to keep those guys off the glass. So, I think that's the big question going into Game 3 is what you do. What you do to find where a hiding spot for Brunson. They tried him on Kuminga late, especially because they took out Daniels.
I found that interesting.
And look, I shout out Jonathan Kuminga, man. Like DJ and I both said that's the X factor because he gives them a presence, a guy who can guard Cat in a way that no other body on the team can. And it's just a question of if like the offense gets out of whack or not. Not only has it not been
points.
Not only has it not been out of whack, he's been like their best player for stretches. So that's a huge thing for them. So can the Knicks slow him down? Like, so Brunson, where does Brunson go defensively? I still think he can guard CJ McCollum. And but I also think that Josh Hart, when he went on McCollum in the third quarter, did tire him out and get a little physical with him. That was probably healthy to get McCollum off his game a little bit. So I think they have to move things around, keep Atlanta guessing. They did force a lot of turnovers in the second half, so that was good to see. There was a level of desperation defensively that was really good to see from the players. And I think they just need to maintain that. Because Atlanta, man, like I know they're good, but they also they don't finish well at the rim at all, and they are very prone to turnovers if you're in their passing lanes. And they should not lose a series, John. They should not lose a series.
Well, we're past should because we've shitted all over ourselves. Josh Hart, I just want to know because there's going to be a lot of hate for Josh Hart tonight. He was 1 for 9 from the field. He had picked a bad night to have a really off shooting night.
Had some really good looks from 3 that he missed, and that were big.
Yeah, really good looks. He was 0 for 4. Brown said after the game they got what they wanted. They got Jalen isolated on Okongwu. I don't know if it was Jalen's pass was off target. I don't know. Should he not have thrown the pass? Should he have just challenged Okongwu? Did Josh just was he?
So I assume the flare screen from Cat caused the switch. So they did get Jalen on Okongwu. I'm not watching it right now in front of me, but he drove baseline and Okongwu's tough defender. It's not easy. Not an easy guy to isolate on.
Okongwu is like the subtle MVP. Not the MVP of the series. McCollum's the MVP of the series, but Okongwu might be at this point. He's in neck and neck with Kuminga. Just been everything the Hawks have needed him to be. He's been really, really good. Yeah, I mean, I'll I mean, a last word before I let you go.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I would say, just like just something to look for from a strategic standpoint, is I thought they definitely did a better job attacking with Cat. Like they ran some pick and rolls without Brunson. Brunson just spaced or went down to the baseline, and they would just initiate with Josh Hart or with Mikal a couple times, or even Deuce a couple times. And those guys just throw Cat the ball when he comes off on the elbow. And look, Brunson doesn't always do that. To his, I think a fault of his, a flaw of his, is that he doesn't always do that. I would look for more of that too, like initiation without Brunson to get Cat involved specifically. And then you have Brunson off the ball, who provides obviously great spacing and gravity. So I thought they did a better job. That was a little bit of an adjustment that they made, so that Brunson isn't dribbling on Dyson Daniels for 2 hours a night, which nobody wants to see.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. Like I don't expect Atlanta to come out in Game 4 and blow this team out. I mean, New York couldn't find a foothold in this game until the end. I actually expect them to find a foothold earlier in Game 4. I mean, there should be some desperation, of course. But yeah, keep an eye out for a starting lineup change. We'll see what he does with the bench minutes again. That's up in the air. But look, the Knicks are going to have to find that same desperation they found in the fourth quarter and sustain it all game long. Hopefully get a more comfortable win and get back to the Garden. What are you going to say?
Sounds good, Benji. Appreciate the time, man.
All right, brother. Go get him. Talk later.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll just say this, and we'll do squad bets and get to the super chats. This game on Saturday is going to tell us a lot about this team and what this team is made of. Because Benji just nailed it. They should come out and play with a level of desperation that, you know, honestly, they should blow this team out on Saturday. Again, should. Big asterisk. Should. We'll see if they have that in them, or, and I hope this is not the case, we'll see if there isn't some part of them that is, you know, ready for this thing to be over. I don't think that that's the case. I do think that there is a collective fight in this locker room. I don't know that I would say that that's because of the coach, but I do think they have that level of fight. And yeah, I mean, just to hammer it home for anybody who may be under any misgivings. Again, it's not that we're not bigger games like they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, like Game 1, Game 2, like all those games. But in terms of the truly earth-shattering consequences that would unfold if they lose this series, and so it makes Game 4 pretty big. Pretty big. And I expect a lot of people that tonight are going to be very angry that the Knicks are in this position. And you should be. because they did this to themselves. That's all there is to it. All right, let us check in on tonight's squad bet, courtesy of Fanatics Sportsbook. So well, I'm the one in front of the microphone, so I can say what the hell I want. I wanted to go with a point squad bet featuring Jalen Brunson. I can show you the exact text to prove it. Featuring Jalen Brunson, Jalen Johnson, and a Knicks bench guard. That was the text I sent earlier today. I was like, that would be my vote for however many points. And I probably would have leaned Deuce if we had gone in that direction, because I feel like Deuce is just not going to have a bunch of bad playoff games in a row. We didn't go in that direction. We instead went in assists direction. We did get our squad bet the last game. We unfortunately did not get this squad bet. We went Brunson, McCollum, and Towns to get at least 16 assists. Brunson only 4 assists. Towns only 3 assists, or 4 assists also. Sorry, they combined for 8. And then CJ sadly only 1 assist. I thought what the Knicks would do tonight was to try to turn CJ McCollum into more of a passer. And yet there was really only one possession where they made an overt effort to do that. And it kind of worked like a charm. I thought it was one of the many key possessions in the fourth quarter where they got CJ essentially to turn the ball over. McBride had it, but McBride couldn't, then I think fell or something like that. And it ended up being a jump ball, and Knicks lost the jump. And and that's where we're at. So that's your squad bet, presented, of course, by Fanatics Sportsbook. Reminder that you could find our squad bet in the Fanatics Sportsbook app before every game. So come ride with us. We didn't get this one, but we will get them on Saturday, much like our Knicks. Okay, let us do this thing. Haitian-Ferg, fire him tonight. Oh, sad thing is, I'm sure who I know who you mean by him, but probably a couple of people that could qualify for that. Thanks, Haitian. Robert Cross, get Brown out now, right now. Thanks, Robert. I am AK Legend. Jalen, you have to involve Cat in crunch time. This team is better than this. All right, so Jalen catching a little heat. Look, that's fair. Jalen has not had a great series. He's been, I would say, below average by his standards. Actually, maybe that might even be a little kind. So it's not only on the coach, and it's not only on Cat. It's on the point guard, probably more than anybody else. So, yeah. Thanks. Hush Zoo, at least we saw at Eastern Conference Finals. We're never seeing a chip. Man, I'm going to be 43 in 2.5 weeks. I think life expectancy is like 76 years old for American men. So, what does that give me? Another 34 years? Whereabouts? 33? I don't know. I don't know if I'm liking those odds, to be honest. Thanks, Hush. Drew P. A season playing bad lineups to play worse ones. It's all about experimentation, right? It's what we wanted. It's what we got. It's what we're getting. Thanks, Drew. Deadwards. Yeah, no comment. This is I don't blame you. I trust me. I wish I could not comment on this team right now. There's nothing I care to say about the team. I just would rather not talk about them, but that's what I gotta do. Thanks, Edwards. Bill Peterfriend, thanks for a fun year. I'm over this team right now. Last 2 games are an embarrassment on many levels: coaching, players, leadership, teamwork, skill. Pathetic. The fake comeback means nothing. Look, ultimately, I think I appreciate the contribution, Bill, and I really want to take your comment seriously, because others will look at that and be like, "Oh, come on, this is get off the ledge, man. We're in the middle of a playoff series. It's not how you fan." And yet, I really do think how you process this series right now does kind of speak to how you engage with this team. Because, and I think this is part of the issue with this year, and it's part of the issue. It's not, I shouldn't phrase it as an issue because that would imply blame towards those who feel a certain type of way. But how you process the fact that, like, a series of moves have left them here down 3-1 in the first round against a team that they should be clearly better than, and feeling like you are getting further away from answers as opposed to closer. Because if you just want to root and you just want to, engage with the team as they present themselves to you, as opposed to with a certain amount of baggage, what you watched the Knicks do tonight, which was to go down 18 and then come back to take a 3-point lead, was awesome. It was awesome. As Benji said, the fight that they displayed was awesome. The fact that they overcame the fact that they were shooting under 20% from three for most of this game was awesome. The fact that they had some, those, if they had won this game, those OG shots, both of them, we didn't even talk about them. I talked to Benji for 40 minutes. We didn't even mention those OG threes. Those would have gone down as two of the biggest threes in Knicks playoff history had they won this game. To say nothing of the Deuce 3, which was, in some ways even bigger, but they needed both of the OG ones. It really was an incredible comeback. And yet, if you engage with this team, as I know a lot of fans do, and I will say, unfortunately, I do, because I wish I didn't engage with them in this way. It is never a clean slate. It is always factoring in the past and what got us to this point, and the fact that the end of the 2023-24 season felt like, man, they had it and they got injured, and now it's about just getting it back to where they were and making sure that it's almost like just picking up where we left off, right, on January 27th, which is when Julius went down and then when OG went down for a while. And then there was this cognitive dissonance of last year where at one point, at the same time, it felt like we were getting further away from that, but they also made it further in the playoffs. So it's like, kind of made that like hard to process and reconcile and all this stuff. And God knows I've had problems figuring all that out and putting that into words over the last, as it was happening and then over the last year. But we are now undoubtedly in this place. And it just feels like the ground underneath us is not stable. And that's not where we thought we would be. The way this thing got started, meaning like the Leon Rose era, essentially. And certainly once Jalen Brunson got here. And it's not, we're not at the postmortems yet. We're not at the obituaries yet. They're very much in this series. They should still be favored to win the series, frankly. But it feels extraordinarily unsettling. And I know to a lot of people, very unexpected. And yet, as I'm sitting here right now, staring this 2-1 deficit in the face after yet another heartbreaking win, the most damning thing I could say about this team is I'm not shocked. There's actually no part of you right now that is genuinely shocked. I don't even know if I'm like mildly surprised. And if you want to know why that is, go back and rewatch any of the shit that I've been raked over the coals for on the internet. Thanks, Bill. Heath, thanks for the contribution, man. Hushzu. Jalen has now shrunk on 2 clutch shots. He had the open 3 previous shot, but decided against it and airballed. And now this. I hate this team so much. My God, I can't help but laugh. Look, Jalen's had a lot of clutch buckets in his career. He has not. He had He had a clutch and one in this game late, which was tough. He made the free throw. It was a big shot, put him up 3. Tie game, tough shot. The 3 ball has evaded him at the wrong time. It's unfortunate. Thanks, Hush. Mackie, what's going on, man? Thank you. I mean, it's one thing to get these from you during a win, but when you get them during a loss, it shows just how dedicated of a fan you are and how much you bring positivity always, which I wish I had some more of in my soul right now. Had a chance to win it, a couple different bounces here and there, and they would have closed it out. Still feel sick about this one. Yeah, I mean, I went into this one feeling sick over the last one. I had not gotten over game 2. I had 72 hours to do so. I have kept myself busy with all manner of things that have had nothing to do with basketball. I went and saw Mikal today. I went the first showing. I'm lucky enough to live near a movie theater now that I've moved back out to Long Island. I went and saw the first showing of Mikal, a movie that I knew was not going to be very good. And I, by myself, pretty like half full theater, so I was impressed by. I didn't have a bad time. Not a good movie, but didn't have a bad time. It's cool seeing someone who like very much looks and sounds like Michael Jackson. Obviously, he's related to Michael Jackson. He's his nephew. You know, sing and dance and do all the songs like brilliantly, by the way. You know, I finished a fence. I assembled a bunch of chairs. I moved a bunch of stones today. Like there's been a bunch of stones that have been in my backyard for the last year since we moved into this house. They were just kind of sitting back there because the people that we bought it from had some shit back there. And I got it. I was like, it was literally like 200 like heavy stones. Moved all of them today. Just anything not to think about this team and not think about game 2. Got to bring my kids to gymnastics. That was fun. And then, yeah, I sat down to watch this game, and now it's going to be another 48 hours where I want to think about anything other than this basketball team. Which, you know, it's like you're in this place back-to-back games, and it's like, why am I doing this to myself? So hopefully they reward our faith with a better performance on Saturday. Thanks, Mickey. Z, Raheem. What's going on, Z? Why does offense look so hard for us and so easy for them? And we have 2 all NBA offensive stars. It's a fantastic question. I would wager, or I would suggest that's a great question for Mike Brown. It looks like pulling fucking teeth to get good shots from this team. Think about the miracle shots that they needed to go in to be in the position that they were. The OG shots, you know. I think you know what, man? I don't have an answer. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have an answer. My answer would be like, because they're not getting Cat involved enough. And yet we've been sitting here for 10 years of this player's career. And it always seems to be, why isn't Cat more involved? Why isn't Cat doing more? Why are we not going through him more? So, man, I don't know. Don't know. Wish I had a better answer for you. It's a great question, though. Thanks, Z. Robert Cross. Hello, Robert. You're playing 11 minutes of Mitch against the undersized Hawks. Get him out now. It's in a like the timeout snafu is still number 1 for me in terms of egregiousness. Playing Mitchell Robinson 11 minutes in a basketball game in which Hack-a-Mitch was not tried one time. I gotta tell you, I'm putting that above some of the other lineup stuff, like the no Cat, no Brunson, like cap 34 minutes. Like even with him being minus 11 in this game, that's number 2 for me. It's number 2. Thanks, Robert. Robert Cross, 5 first-round picks, 0 points, minus 26 in 21 minutes. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, you know, unfortunately, there's not a lot of laughs coming from Knicks front office right now. because they are probably busy updating their resumes and their LinkedIn pages. I can't say I blame them. It is unfortunately the trade that at this point will overshadow everything else that they've done, a lot of which has been really good and really smart. And they went for it and hasn't worked out. Thanks, Robert. Jay Levin, what's going on, man? 22-25 Boston series was pure magic. The ride is over. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. I mean, like, hard pressed to see this team like going on a run and like winning a title. Are they at this point? I actually, you know what? Let me shout out to our friends at Fanatics Sportsbook. We literally have a partnership with a sportsbook. What are the current series odds? Let me check that right now, because I would guess that the series is like even money at this point as far as who's going to win this series. Let me see here. Futures. It should be in here. No. Well, the Knicks are now plus 700 to win the East. The Hawks are plus 1,700 to win the East. No, it doesn't have Oh, here we go. Knicks versus Hawks series winner. It's even. It's essentially even. Hawks minus 125, Knicks plus 100. So actually the Hawks are favored to win the series now. How sad is that? How sad is that? Completely avoidable. Just malpractice. Hazu, the Hawks have now done what we did to Boston. This series is over. Mike Brown, you're a clown. Leon Rose, you're a clown. 5 picks rotting on the bench. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people are wearing makeup right now. I can't very well sit here and call Leon Rose and the members of the front office that were in favor of that trade. I cannot sit here right now and very well call them clowns, because the night they made that trade, I was excited. Knowing it was an overpay, I was excited, because I thought you're getting a certain type of player. He fits what you do. There was skepticism about the trade when it happened, and it has a chance to go down as one of the more detrimental trades in modern NBA history. Brown is getting pantsed. Brown is wearing the Joker makeup. Thanks, Hush. Youth called MB. Mike Brown has no business coaching in the NBA. You know, if you want to know why a guy with a 60 career winning percentage was like very available, and you know, like you're watching it right now. Next up, Z Corp Alpha. Sure. Hawks. Oh, we got a Hawks fan. Oh, listen, man. Enjoy it. Listen, every Hawks fan should be ecstatic. Truly. Great job by them. Like, Knicks have played like not as well as they can or would like to. Hawks fans should be thrilled. Yeah, they really should. Dom Cappuccini. It's been said before, Tibbs deserves every free dinner and drinks in the city. I'll leave it to that because I have nothing nice to say. Yeah, and I always tried to look at that bright side. I always tried to appreciate what we had. I always tried to appreciate the process behind what was happening, even when the results were not to people's liking. And, you know, there were a lot of times where I felt the avalanche, and whatever. We don't need to go down that road again. But look, I can't run from the fact that the day they fired him, I was like, all right, I get it. You've maxed out under this coach. But, you know, if Benji was here, I would praise him for he had this on repeat. Okay, you want to move on from one of the most successful coaches in your franchise history and like one of the more surefire things in the NBA? That's fine. He's not perfect. We know he's not perfect. There were things that weren't going the way you wanted them, and they were like valid things. Okay, you better get the hire right. And even within that statement was a fraught concept, because the implication behind getting the hire right is you line up all of the best candidates and you select the proper one. And what ended up happening was they lined up all of the best candidates, and before they could even pick the proper one, 75% or 80% of those candidates were not available. You know? And had the process behind the firing been more sound, as opposed to an impulse decision that was ultimately made by someone that we have 25 years of evidence to know is just one of the more impulsive and impetuous people in a position of power in the world of sports. But like, it's just highly unfortunate. It's just highly unfortunate. Thanks, Tom. Hey, Jason, I apologize. My guy, Jason Concepcion. Thank you for the contribution. I saw, I have a lot of texts tonight. I was ignoring my phone for the entirety of the evening. Hope you're doing well. Congratulations on the new show with Ringer. It's fantastic. You're great. I'm gonna have to get you back on here after the season's over, because I gotta powwow for a postmortem. I'm gonna have a lot of content to put out, and I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with all that, those hours to fill. So might as well get you back on here. Luyan, what's going on, Luyan? Disheartening. I still think this goes 7. I'm pretending that Atlanta had home court and we're now a game away from tying the series. You can pretend whatever you want. They're in it now. They're in it deep. Thanks, Leon. JDM, Frank Ntilikina stat line for Bridges. Fucking, oh my God. I mean, where's the lie? Where's the lie? Thanks, GDM. Jack Corcoran. What's going on, Jack? Thanks for joining the watch along. Shout out to everybody who joined the watch along. I think we had like 3,000 people in there by the time the game was over. We are the Washington Generals to the rest of the NBA's Harlem Globetrotters. It will never be us. There will always be another shoe to drop. Let's go, Knicks. I mean, still a great market. Still got a really good team, despite everything we're saying tonight. This team's still really good. They're really good. Like, I know that's crazy to say right now. They're really good. And they actually have talented people in the front office, smart people in the front office. Look, I think climbing the mountaintop with this owner was always going to be probably a little fraught. And yet, I really do think that they were really close to doing it. Unfortunately, the Hartenstein thing just, it's not ideal. But we'll get him one of these years. Maybe this year. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. Thanks, Jack. Hush Zoo, we went from Tibbs to Doc Rivers 2.0. Don't do that to Doc. Doc's a Hall of Fame coach. Mike Rivers, Freudian slip. Mike Brown will not be getting Hall of Fame induction anytime soon. Thanks, Hush. Jason M. Brunson is just not himself. 108, 107, got a Congo on a switch and space to shoot. Hesitated and fumbled the ball and wound up taking a terrible shot. Yeah, he's not And I appreciate you saying the hard thing and the honest thing. I don't think he's himself. He is now in this series from 3. So he ended up, I think he ended up 2 of 8 in the last game. Hold on. I got it right now. Wait, why don't I see the 3-point shots? Here it is. So, no, sorry. He was 4 of 10. He was 2 of 8, and then he made the last 2 to be 4 of 10. He was actually 3 of 4 from deep in game 1, but all those were in the first quarter. So 0 of 5 from 3 tonight. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think he's himself. That was his spot, man. He was in his spot. And to airball and then the turnover. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Jason, one Jason to another. Jason Concepcion. We're going back and forth with the Jasons. I love Jalen, but I think we may have quietly entered the diminishing returns part of the story with this team as constructed. I mean, that's, I'm trying. The reason why I hesitated there is I'm trying to reconcile that notion, which I don't think is crazy, with the specificity of the Bridges situation now. And it's a situation. You just benched a guy you traded 5 first-round picks for. It's possible. It'll be interesting to see how they pivot. The fascinating part, and again, we're a long way from having this conversation, but through 3 games of this series, Karl-Anthony Towns has been your best player. And actually, I'm not sure it's close because they ain't been Jalen. I mean, OG was exceptional tonight. OG ended up probably being their best player tonight. You want to give out OG second. He's up there, the shot making alone, and he's been great on defense. But Cat's been probably your best player. And yet, if they get eliminated, well, what's the conversation going to be? It's going to be Giannis. Who's going out for Giannis? Well, probably going to be Cat. What do you do with that? I don't really know the answer to that question. And again, to be clear, I'm not saying that they could just go trade for Giannis. I think it'd be really hard for them to trade for Giannis. I don't know if they have enough to trade for Giannis. They probably don't. But any big trade, you're going to be looking at Cat. And yet, for as good as he has been, you look at these 3 games, 113 points, 106 points, 108 points. If Cat has been great, okay, so why hasn't your offense been why haven't you been able to exploit him even more? And you could look at and you could say, well, no, they have exploited him more. He was a plus 20 whatever for the game. Plus 22. It's just there's going to be so many uncomfortable questions that will be raised in this offseason if they go the way they're going. And I'm not even prepared to wrap my head around all of them. But it will not be fun. I can promise you that. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate you, man. Another one from the Hawks fan. Hawks championship ring will look beautiful. Well, listen, man. I don't think you're getting any championship rings anytime soon, but if you end up winning this series, it'll be a nice accomplishment for you. Thank you for the contribution, by the way, and thank you for watching the Knicks Film School Postgame Show. You have your own postgame show, I think. Hawks Fan TV, is he doing a show? I would assume he is. Manuel, thank you, fans. See you guys for the next championship project. Trade the Villanova boys and tank. Listen. Unfortunately, they don't have their pick, so it might be kind of tough. Freeway Hustler, what's going on, man? Time to admit for the Knicks what we all know. The Mikal trade was a loss, and just move on from that. Start Deuce. Let's live and die with what seems to be our best lineup. There's not a ton of data on that lineup. The data that exists is good. Going back next year, or going back last year as well. I fully expect Deuce McBride to start game 3. Fully expect Mikal Bridges to come off the bench. I don't think that that's going to help Mikal Bridges in the least. I do hope it helps the Knicks It was a bad trade. It's okay. We're all grown-ups. We could all say the hard part out loud. It was a bad trade. They lost the trade, obviously. It was a trade they shouldn't have made. They made it in part because they liked the player and the fit, but also in part because they wanted to use those picks that summer, and they wanted to use those picks because they had the Bogdanovich contract that they needed to move, and they also wanted to use it on a player who's going to, make sense with their second apron concerns over the ensuing years. And I just will say, I think that there's a world where the trade works out better than it has, based on some roster stuff, but it hasn't worked out. And now it's about, what do you do from here? The bigger issue, I would say at this point, is like, is there a world where this playoff run, however long or not long it is, ends with the Knicks being in a position where it's like, oh, well, they have to trade Mikal Bridges now because of what just fucking happened? I don't know. I don't know. Thanks for your hustle. Mike Kelly, what's going on, Mike? No post-game shower, no post-game meal. Get your own flight home, Mikal. One of the least inspiring players I've ever watched. No energy, no grit, soft. It's funny, a lot of people weren't saying that shit when he made those 2 plays against Boston. As you may have noticed at the time, for all the exuberance over the whole fuck them picks thing and all that stuff, I was never quite on board with that. I did not allow 2 plays to overshadow what for me was, even last year, a wildly underachieving season for him. And it was another season like that this year. And, he's fine. He's a fine player. It's just, he's a very fine 4th starter. Does a lot of nice things. But needed more from him so far in this series. It's very unfortunate. Keep saying that word, unfortunate. Yeah. Z-Big Freeze. Can't hide Brunson on anybody, and it showed tonight. I actually thought they did somewhat well late to Atlanta scored 21 points in the first quarter, and they were targeting Brunson every time. And actually, that's even a misnomer because Brunson came in. Hold on here. Brunson enters for Mikal Bridges. So the Hawks had scored. The Hawks had scored 4 points in the first. When did he come in? Hawks had scored 4 points in the first minute and 35 seconds of the fourth quarter. So that means in the last 9:25 of the fourth, they held him to 17 points. It's pretty good. I know they were hunting him every time. I get it. Like it bit them sometimes, but I thought the Knicks played pretty inspired defense for the most part down the stretch, even with the Brunson situation. That's not why they lost. Omni trash memes. Fun one. Mr. Macri, I was wrong, so I'll just say it now and take my L. I am completely sorry, Thomas Joseph Thibodeau Jr. I was unfamiliar with your game. Listen, you don't have to apologize to me or anybody. Tibbs was frustrating for a lot of people. I'm not gonna say anything. I don't need to turn this into that. Thanks for that. Appreciate you. Iceman Sham, what's going on, Iceman? So the crunch time offense is somehow worse, and oh my God, these lineups get Mike Brown out of here tonight. Yeah, I wonder if you're gonna how If they lose this series, I really do genuinely wonder, is it like, is there reporting that night that he is out as next coach or going to be out as next coach the next day? I don't know. Thanks, Iceman. Hazu. Why was Deuce on CJ? Why was Deuce on CJ on the last shot? Why? I think I got all of them. F you, Mike. F you, Mike. I hate this organization. These are great. Deuce was the shortest defender out there. We've been watching this for look, again, this is no shade on Deuce McBride. Deuce McBride's awesome. We love Deuce McBride here. We're pro Deuce McBride here at Knicks Film School. Could not be bigger fans of him. He is a 6'3" guard or 6'2" or whatever the fuck he is. And we have seen, for all his tenacity, for years, like you could get him, you could shoot over him. You know, he does, for as much of a bulldog as he is not Drew Holiday. He is not Marcus Smart. He is not Alex Caruso. He is not, and I understand those guys are a little taller than him, and that's part of the issue, but he also doesn't have their physicality where he's going to get into you to the level where you're not going to like get your shot off or you're going to have trouble getting to your spot. Like, that's not Deuce. And you know how and in case anybody forgot that over the last several years, you only needed to go see the shot that CJ McCollum hit over Deuce McBride quite literally in the second half of this game. And yet Mike Brown thought that the way to go there was to leave your center, your backup center, who, how about this for irony? This just dawned on me. The brother of arguably the most successful Knicks coach of my lifetime, who's calling the game tonight, who used to coach for the team that is one of your two biggest rivals, was the one guy who voted Mitchell Robinson for Sixth Man of the Year. And Stan Van Gundy got to call this game and call the game where Mitchell Robinson played 11 minutes and call the last possession for the Hawks, in which Mike Brown thought best to leave that player on the bench. Huh. You really can't write this shit. Thanks, Hush. So focused. Thank you for the very generous contribution, John. Appreciate it. Someone said the Brunson honeymoon might be over if they lose, and they might be right. 2 straight games they should have won if they play smart. Why? Cat, JB pick and roll seems taboo, but those two off the court is the game plan. There's a lot of questions right now that we don't have the answers for. Look, my Brunson honeymoon will last for as long as he's here. I'm sure they're absolutely the reason why I don't know if that I fully believe that is he has not had an atrocious series. He's not had a good series. He's not had an atrocious series. He's had a below average for him series. There's a lot of other blame to go around before you get to Jalen Brunson. Thanks, Joe. Andrew German, what's going on? The Nova boys were the 3 worst players in the game. I can't go that far. I like for the Knicks, were they the 3 worst players in the game? No. I mean, put aside Shaman, who only played 3 minutes. Even put aside Alvarado. Like Clarkson was 4 for 11. Wasn't great on defense. Mitch, for all as much as I'm talking about, I wish he was in the game. He was a minus 18. He wasn't great in his first half stint, although I don't think it was his fault. Yeah, sure. You want to say of the guys who played big minutes, like Bridges was the worst. Hart shot 1 for 9. He did a lot of other stuff that helps you. But you can't. It's tough to overcome 1 for 9. And Brunson was like, compared to what you expect from him, yeah, I guess it's not that crazy of a thing to say when you consider the guys who actually played big minutes. I don't know that I would say that Jalen Brunson tonight was like worse than Mitch or worse than Clarkson, but it's a conversation. All right. Thanks, Andrew. Youth called DM or MB again. And Kev, if you want to do the stat after this, we can. Questionable substitutions and really bad lineups cost us this game. I mean, there's a very real world where they're up 3-0 right now. You know, and I actually think had they won game 2 in the way that they should have won game 2, I don't think they come into this game with the confidence that they had. And I think the Knicks could be up 3-0. You know, but here we are. Thanks for that one. All right, we're gonna do stat of the night. Jonah Kaufman's Nito stat of the night is 18. Most turnovers. I bad job by me. Haven't mentioned turnovers because there's just been a lot of stuff to talk about. But turnovers, big problem. Most they've had in a playoff game in the Brunson era. They had 19 assists, tied for the second fewest of the season, leading to the 5th lowest assist to turnover ratio of the season. Mikal's 4 turnovers in 21 minutes is his most turnovers per minute as a Knick. That is not surprising. That is rough. Thanks, Jonah. Next up, Mr. Virginia. What's going on, Mr. Virginia? You know what's funny? Tibbs never benched Bridges that hard last year in the playoffs. The irony. We keep going back to Tibbs tonight. Tibbs didn't panic. For all any faults people want to accuse him of, he didn't panic, never panicked. You know, I think the closest he came to panicking, and I wouldn't define this as panic, is when he changed the starting lineup in game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I just think that there was too much pressure on him at that point in time. It was late coming, but he never lost that. He lost. I think he lost Precious last year at some point before the playoffs. But like he never lost any. Other than that, I don't think he ever lost anybody. And he was always pretty good at the balance between how to get the most out of your player with what was best for the team. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Virginia. Riyadh, what's going on? I can't wait for this to be over. I'm not gonna lie, man. There's a part of me that is right there with you. If I tell you, if I didn't do this, if I didn't have this going on, and like didn't have a mortgage to pay, I would absolutely be right next to you with that. But I'm not ready for it to be over because I flatly don't know what the fuck I'm going to talk about for 2 months if they get eliminated after the first round. Like, again, Jeremy's a whiz, but like, what are we having Jeremy do cap or no caps for like every team? Like, who could we trade? Could trade Mikal Bridges to this team? Like, it's just gonna be painful and not like I would not look forward to 2 months of that. So, but like in terms of like this team and like the excitement level of like going into Saturday, I'm like curious how many people are going to be excited going into Saturday. You know, I always think about the great New York basketball Twitter account, which is just the best Twitter account. But I always do chuckle at the "Smile your Knicks play today" tweet at the beginning of the day. Yeah. Anyway, I hate this effing team. This team doesn't deserve fans like us. Mikal trade doomed whatever hope of flexibility this team would have ever had building around JB. Look, they're in a rough spot right now. This is when they need their fans the most. I am certainly not going to put it past anybody to be frustrated. and angry and sad and all the negative emotions. I'm feeling a lot of those right now. They almost pulled off one of the great comebacks in franchise playoff history. They really did. They almost did. We almost just witnessed that. We should have witnessed that. And they didn't. And they fell just short. And that is unfortunate. And the fact that they lost this game makes a lot of this. It forces us to engage with the ugliness. They're still alive, and there's still a team here that can accomplish something this year. I do believe that. They are still capable. Again, I don't know that I would bet any money on it, but they are still capable. Thanks, Riyadh. Robert Cross with another one. A coach's job is to put a team in a position to be successful. Brown put them in a spot to lose the series. Dumb. Yeah, he hasn't helped them at all. He's been a negative. It's pretty clear. Mangu Man. I haven't heard from you in a while. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has Brunson's number when it counts, not getting a shot up multiple times in the clutch. Crazy. Mr. 5 Picks, best move tonight was leaving Sweat Stain on the bench. Yeah, it's just like the Mikal thing, like obviously that hurts because of all the organizational implications and what you gave up on the whole thing. It's crazy. It is a little strange not to see Brunson come up. If there was a part of tonight that was surprising to me, it's, Brunson didn't come up big in the clutch. Uptown Hoodie, what's going on, man? Coach has got to put length on CJ on that final play. Yep. Yeah, it's not rocket science. Well, I mean, apparently it is. Snyder simply drew up better plays in the clutch and put his guys in the right spots to succeed. Yep. 100%. It's just, again, this stuff isn't like, it's just crazy how some people took this stuff for granted for years. And you see it every postseason. There's a lot of bad coaching that gets exposed in the playoffs. And unfortunately, it's getting exposed right now with us. Kevin Danishevsky. Hello, Danny. You wanted Mr. Bridges for 5 picks in 2024. You can have him for expiring Nurk in his salary dump. My Lord. Enjoy Golden State Warriors, Mike. Mitch, 11 minutes. Nice. Yeah, Kev Danishevsky he's feeling pretty out at the moment. I don't blame him. I really wonder how movable Mikal is at the moment, which is frightening. Andrew Badow, what's going on, Andrew? Save Mitch for the playoffs. What the fuck was he? Cat JB pick and roll. Works. Let's start doing it in the fourth. Brown is getting in our heads the wrong effing way. It's been a coaching disaster. It's been a coaching disaster. Like, there's no other way to say it. It's been a coaching disaster. And unfortunately, like, you reap what you sow. He's the coach for a reason. And it's not a sound reason. It wasn't like a thoroughly vetted thing. It wasn't the process sucked. The process was as poor as anything in terms of how it went down as anything since the Melo trade. Like, what? Should be in this position. They just shouldn't be in this position. Thanks, Andrew. Another one from Youth called MB. Mitch sitting on the bench that long is insane. It's the thing that is, I said it earlier, I'm partially angry and partially sad. Just continuing to look at Mitchell Robinson and then 11 under the minutes column. It's just inexplicable to me. It's inexplicable. Soft Maurice, what's going on? Save some blame for Brunson. Yeah, no, Brunson has to own the fact that they're down 2-1. It's game 2. A lot of game 2 was on him, and some of tonight's on him as well. No shortage of poor decision making from him tonight. Really, it failed to involve his teammates who were playing well. I don't know. I liked his balance better tonight than I did game 2. There were some shots that I wish he wouldn't have taken. There's almost a part of me that wonders if he's playing in his own head a little bit right now. But he's also really good for long stretches tonight. Like, he's 11-18 from 2-point range. That's not nothing. And like his threes that he took were good threes. They were good. He just didn't make any of them. But just make or miss league. J-E-H Tesla? Sure. This year hasn't felt the same without Tibbs. A lot of the team's strengths and preparedness seemed to go with him when he was fired. I would have liked to see what he would have done with this roster. Well, you got a couple of guarantees with Tibbs. One of them was you were always going to be the most prepared team. As a fan, you were always going to get to sit there and know that you were watching the most prepared team in the league. And that was top to bottom, from the scouting reports, the individual player scouting reports. Like the opposing team will have been scouted more thoroughly than any other team in the league, and then the individual players will be better prepared to play in the series better than any other team in the league. And then, in terms of like the balance between, I think, like, look, I know there's people that have been very critical of his lack of adjustments over the years. He always skewed towards not making the adjustment, which is, I think, one of the biggest reasons why there is a large segment of the population Knicks fan population who's like, well, we topped out with him. You're never going to win a championship with Tibbs, because he always skewed towards safety. He always skewed towards what he knew, what he could bank on, what he had evidence for. And then there was a whole other conversation about how willing was he to bend his own rules to get more evidence during the regular season. And all that stuff is valid. But with all of it came a baseline. And the irony, one of the other ironies of this season, is you look and you see just kind of the opportunity they had this year. And I understand the East a lot better than people expected. Like, there's almost an argument that this was the year of all the years that you wanted to coach with the higher floor, but owner's always been prone to little whispers. Been prone to those whispers for 25 years. And it's not like it's a select group. You don't got to be the his I don't know what religion he is, his rabbi, whatever. You don't have to be some sage to get your whisper heard. It's tough. It's a tough situation. How equals peace? Can you put a defender CJ can't shoot over the top of on him in that spot for the go-ahead, please? Well, I would have liked to see that. And look, Deuce did what he could. But that's enough. Oscar, what's going on, Oscar? Sick to my stomach, gave me false hope at the end. Yeah. Sick to your stomach loss, for sure. Sick to your stomach series so far. JDM season ended after the Dolan kiss of death in January. I mean, that thing is going to age just like a fine wine. I don't think that had any effect on like what's happening. I just found it very funny at the time, and it's only more funny now. Thanks, JDM. Hush with another one. Thanks, Hush, for the generous contributions tonight. We had an opening for Giannis. KD was available. Stars were open, but you knew we liked this. We liked the team. F you, Leon. We've been tricked. We were conned. So, well, part of the reason they traded for Mikal is because they hadn't had an opening for Giannis. They didn't have enough to get Giannis this past summer. KD was available. Honestly, like at this point, I don't know. Like the notion of like if they could have traded Cat for KD, like I'm actually not even 100% sure that. I mean, it makes him. KD's obviously a better player even this year, as old as he is, but he also missed the beginning of the Lakers series. I don't know. I think it would have been interesting to see KD on this team, but then you would have had difficult situation with centers and whatever else. Yeah. But again, it's like whatever you're going to talk about the roster and like why they did or didn't do stuff. It's like they made the big play. They made the trade for Bridges and they made the trade for Cat. And after they didn't make the finals last season, they had to pay the piper. So who had to pay? Well, to the front office or the coach. Because when someone's upset, you gotta give the man a pound of flesh. And he was angling for a pound of the coach's flesh, and the front office was not about to argue. Thanks, Hush. Hush with another one. I don't care. He could say he didn't know. I'm putting in Brunson. I don't care. He can say he didn't know I'm putting in Brunson in 2. He 100% knew about Mikal. He could deny it all he wants. He knew he wanted it and screwed us. Oh, you're talking about Brunson wanting Mikal? I'm not going down this road. Come on. We're going down here. Whether Brunson wanted him or not, doesn't matter. Like, he should want him. He's just a college teammate. He's a really good player. Trade doesn't work out. How does it? Haitian, what's going on, my guy? Thank you for the generous contribution. I get the dislike of Tibbs, but no one could defend Brown to me. It's Snyder versus Brown. It's not on the players like it was for me last year. With this roster, it isn't crazy to say they overachieved last year. This sucks. Did they overachieve last year? I mean, the Boston series win was like, I'm not going to sit here and say they had no business beating Boston, but that win, man, that was crazy that they won that series. It really was. It was awesome and just incredible. And everybody gets a lot of credit for that. Coach, players, everybody. This would be without question a worse loss for the Knicks than last year was for Boston against the Knicks. I actually have not even. I guess I must have some faith in this team, because if I really had no faith in this team, I would have already started thinking of the answer to this question already. This would be, in terms of disastrous losses, in terms of disastrous playoff losses, I like the one that keeps coming to my brain. Funnily enough, involves CJ McCollum, but it was on the other end where the Blazers got swept as the home team against Anthony Davis and the Pelicans. Drew Holiday like ate Portland's lunch that series. But like, the Pels had one of the 3 best players in the world at that time, and Anthony Davis, who was awesome. Drew Holiday was, even then, we didn't realize how good and important he was to winning. That's the one that keeps coming to mind. Like, even some of like the 1-8s I can remember, like obviously the Mavs losing to the We Believe Warriors was like, that's an all-time disaster. But even like the Grizzlies upending the Spurs as an 8 seed, like I would have to go back and really look at that and be like, is that as bad as this would be? Just because of the investment in this team and the new coach and the pressure and all the things. This would just be it would be a top 5, certainly a top 5 most, like, whatever you want to word you want to use, catastrophic first round loss the NBA has seen in the last 20 years. I don't know, something like that. Thanks, Asian. John Leary, what's going on? Towns has been the best Knick in the series. Yep. Not even it's no question. It's not in dispute. OG was awesome tonight, but it's Towns. It's Towns. Andrew, I'm sad, just sad. Yeah, right. Everybody should be feeling sad or angry. If you're not feeling sad or angry, like, God bless you. I'm like a little bit of mix of both. I keep going back and forth. Andrew with another one, saving it for the Celtics. Yeah, right. I could only shake my head. How equals peace with another one. Guy goes back to not staggering JB and Cat and still a loss. Will he learn? I think Benji nailed it when he said Brown's outthinking himself. He's outthinking himself. Like, he has the better team. He had the better team coming in. The only way you lose with the better team is you get outcoached. And game 2 was a disaster class in terms of the coaching, and tonight wasn't much better. It's been really just extraordinarily embarrassing. And it is interesting because, like, normally you would expect an owner to have some level of self-awareness of, like, well, I injected myself into the situation and I kind of forced your hand and forced you to fire the last guy. And I did so when you clearly didn't. Although, for all I know, they may have told him, like, yeah, we got kid in the bag. I think they had kid in the bag. Obviously, they did not have kid in the bag. But it'll be interesting. Like, regardless of that, normally you would expect a situation where it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have injected myself in that situation and let you guys do what you wanted to do. I don't expect that to be the case here. Which is why, like, if they lose the series, like, obviously I expect Brown to be fired. I just don't think that's going to be the only thing. I think there's going to be a lot of heads that are going to roll. I've been saying that all year. Don't know anything. Just pure gut feeling. Thanks, man. Hush with another one. If we lose, I want all Villanova, all nepotism, all this CAA, anything with this era gone. Let's go back to being generational losers again. Hush is losing it, man. Hush is losing it. Minus 26. Got our best. This is Hush again. Got our best coach fired. I can't believe it. Hush, man. Well, you weren't the only one, but a lot of people wanted that coach fired. A lot of people were not happy with the last head coach. You know, I wonder. I do think the public discourse around this stuff matters. And it's just, thanks, Hush. Deadwards, what's going on, Deadwards? This team seems to be full of big egos on guys who don't have the talent to have big egos and a coach who shrivels under pressure. It's a great recipe for a fraudulent contender. You know what? As the guy who did the unlikable rant and who said these guys don't like each other and yada, 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 and who certainly alluded to egos and agendas, famously, being a big problem this year. I actually don't think that that's been an issue so far. I actually think they have put their egos aside. And really, like the guys that should have the biggest egos, Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and OG Anunoby, I don't think egos have been an issue for any of them in this series. With Brunson, the only thing that I could say is, like, I implore everybody to go read Benji's grade book after game 2, because I think he phrased it really well, which is like Jalen Brunson has gotten to where he is in his career by having a chip on his shoulder and playing with like the weight of everybody who has like ever doubted him on his back every time he goes out there. So to just like, it's hard for him to just like flip a switch and it's like, all right, now I'm going to be Steve Nash. And look, the playoffs are about adjusting and not just for coaches, for players and coming up big in the biggest moments and going outside your comfort zone and the whole thing. So not giving him a pass, but I guess I do just have more sympathy and a little bit more understanding of Jalen. And again, I didn't think Jalen played a bad game. I didn't think he played a great game. I didn't think he played a bad game either. We'll see. Thank you for that. What is this? Stop the panic. Reverse my username. That's a good one. Thank you. 2011 E Fernandez. Thank you, John. Don't know how to feel better after that, but your rage helps. Does it really? Jesus. Didn't think anything worse than the Pacers series. Well, fuck me. Am I right? The Pacer game one is, I'll never experience anything like that again. If I ever experience any kind of, I would say sports pain, but who am I getting? Just pain, like short of something happening with like my kids or my wife. I never want to feel how I felt after that game. Never felt that way before. Never want to feel that way again. I'm not there with this series only because there's been a part of me that has been skeptical of this team for, if we're just laying all of our cards out on the table, I've been skeptical of what was going to happen this year ever since it was very clear that the process, which resulted in Thibodeau's firing and ultimately the hiring of Mike Brown, was not above board at all, was not like, there was nothing about that. That was old school Knicks. It was an impulse thing. That was a big time. Everybody in the organization went into CYA mode, and it was just, it's like really hard. It was the whole year. It has been hard for me to fully get my support behind the team when something that big, I guess, I mean, this is just a very long-winded way of saying I'm too much of a process person in terms of how I look at things. I'm too much of a process person to have felt great about this year, given essentially how it started. And that ultimately was the genesis of, and like, stuff you hear, which is now at this point probably pretty much all, I mean, anything I've heard behind the scenes that wasn't like fully out publicly, like everybody could kind of read between the lines and could tell from even the available reporting, some of the, so I mean, yeah, all that stuff. But so why do I bring this up? I bring it up because this is in some ways me sitting here tonight and talking about this in the way that I'm talking about it. It is like 10 months in the making. I'm pissed. I'm not happy. I wanted better and want better. And still think it's not over yet. That's the other thing. It's not over yet, but like, I'm not like certain, like if they lose the series, you're going to tune in to the last post game after the final loss of the series, and you're not going to see me sit here and be floored or shocked. Not shocked tonight. Wasn't shocked after game 2. You're welcome. Anyway. Hush with another one. Kuminga also costed what? A damn bag of chips. The front office, but the front office loves his team. We can't take swings. Screw all the blue chippers. Well, they didn't really have the salary to trade for Kuminga unless you want to trade Bridges, which at this point, man, they probably should have done that. Yeah. This is the team. This is the team. They've essentially boxed themselves into a corner. They have one more move they could make, but where this is just headed for a very rough place because they have a lot of big money contracts on the books. They're not going to be able to be very flexible. They are going to be up against the second apron. They are not going to be able to return all the players on this team. The roster that you see right now, just go look at it. These guys are not all going to be back. They may figure out a way to swing a trade for some better or different high end talent, but they're going to lose. They're going to lose meaningful depth going into next year. So, but whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Riyadh, JB, Deuce, OG, Cat, Mitch. Fuck this Nova nepotism. Yeah, I mean, look, Hart had a really rough shooting game tonight. I do not think Hart played poorly tonight. Obviously, I'm the biggest Josh Hart fan in the world, so it's not a surprise to hear that coming out of my mouth. I think Josh defensively has done really good against Jalen Johnson. He was on the boards. I mean, 9 rebounds is not crazy, but it's good. Just didn't hit shots tonight, and that's a big part of the game. But he plus 3 in 40 minutes for whatever that's worth. Probably not worth much. Moranis 10. What's going on? Why are we Knicks fans? Why? I can't do this anymore. Can't even beat CJ. Shake my head. Hey, put some respect on CJ's name, man. One thing I didn't get before the series, I didn't get it after game 1, didn't get it after game 2, is this notion that CJ McCollum is this little engine that could. Is it embarrassing that CJ McCollum is beating the Knicks? Absolutely, it's embarrassing. But that's more to do with the Knicks than CJ McCollum, I think. Although, no, it's more to do with the Knicks than CJ McCollum, and it does have to do with how they're structured. And this series, the way it's going, is going to be a referendum on a lot of things. But, one of the things it's going to be a referendum on, I think, is Brunson. And that's actually painful for me to say. But the fact that you have a guy that can be targeted and every possession. And yet, my favorite words, and yet the Hawks in this series have scored 102, 107, and 109 points. It's not like you can't defend this team. I went through the statistics in the fourth quarter. You defended him with Brunson on the floor. You defended them well enough. But I don't know. How did I get down this road? Oh, CJ. Look, CJ, is he good enough to be the best player on a title team? No. Is he good enough to be, the best player on a conference champion? No. Is he good enough to be the best offensive player on a team that wins a playoff series? If that team is built in just such a way where he could be the weakest defender on the floor and the smallest guy on the floor, but he also doesn't really need to be the true point guard, so to speak. Yeah, he can. He's really good. He's always been really good. He's always been a really good, tough shot maker. And the Knicks have places for him to shoot, man. So, that's where it's at. Brian, what's going on? In my 30 plus years of watching sports, I've never hated a team more that had more players who I loved. Well, I said I hated them a few months ago, and I got pilloried for that. So, or I didn't even say I hated them. I said I how could you love this team? And again, I said it in the moment that didn't get clipped because Andrew knew what he was doing, and good job by him because that was content gold. But I made sure to caveat my statements that night. It's like I don't hate the players. I just this team as a whole, I find them extremely hard to love. When you factor everything in together, you know. Funny thing is, I don't even dislike anybody on the team, other than the coach right now. I'm pretty fucking pissed at the coach. Mike Brown is very, very quickly entering the. Oh boy. Choose my words carefully here. He's entering the man. I don't even try to think of someone throughout Knicks history that I picture their face and it just boils my fucking blood. Even like Phil, I don't hate Phil. You know, I got with Phil was an old man who shouldn't have had the job. That wasn't his fault. James Dolan gave him a lot of money and he took the money, and so I don't blame him for that. Like Isaiah made a lot of god awful trades, but he also did some good stuff. He had a vision, didn't work out. You know, shit happens. Steve Mills? No. Steve Mills, again, another guy. Should never had the job. You know, it's almost like I don't know. I can't hate Scott Layden. Even though he traded away my favorite player of all time for Keith fucking Van Horn. I don't know, man. It would probably have to be another coach. I don't know who it would be. I really don't. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. Mike Brown is he's rising up the ranks really fast. Really fast. Thanks, Brian. Brad Shankers. Devastating. Appreciate you, Macri. Well, thanks. I wish I could do more. Get them a fucking win. Thanks, Brad. Robert Cross. Maybe play Kolek. Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kolek in game 4. Shit, if they're losing in the third quarter of game 4, shit, who else can you throw out there? Jeremy Sohan? Kom Dadier? Mohamed Diawara, I haven't seen him. You know what? For all the shit that I have given anybody who has brought up playing Mohamed Diawara in this series, I want to say right now, you know who I wouldn't have minded having on that last possession defensively? Mohamed Diawara. And I did think about it right after it, and I'm like, that would have been. I'm accusing Mike Brown of being overreactionary and put a rookie in the last 12 seconds of a possession. I gotta tell you, man, I would have preferred a lineup with Diawara better than the one we saw. What a shame. What a shame that we have to sit here and have these fucking conversations. Sam Garcia, are we at DEFCON 1 yet? Also should have kept Tibbs. Oh, yeah. No, this is for the organization. This is absolutely DEFCON 1. This is there are no higher stakes. There are no the bottom that would fall out if they lost this series. I genuinely am not sure people are prepared. I don't think they are. Thanks, Sam. Which, hey, maybe that's for the best. But it's just crazy that we've gotten here. Haitian with another one. Thank you, Haitian. Appreciate you, man. Want for more minutes, more rigid rotations, 48 minutes of rim protection, less mistakes, more preparation, less over-adjusting, simple offense, defensive rebounding, grit, heart, and intensity. I know a guy. Yeah, but Everybody always gets upset because why isn't he doing this or that? Right? It's always, why isn't he doing this and that? This just probably work. Just give it a try. He's stubborn, man. Tibbs is stubborn. It's his fatal flaw. But as I've said and written many times, it's also his best quality. It's the irony of Tibbs. The thing that makes him successful ultimately ends up being his undoing everywhere he goes. And yeah, it's unfortunate. How many times? We should create a new drinking game every time I use the word unfortunate in describing this situation's basketball team. Thanks, Haitian. Andrew with another one. On Benji's hair alert, red alert if it's 3-1. 3-1. I can't even. Look, I'll just say right now, I expect them to win game 4. I know I said earlier tonight, I think if they lose tonight, they lose the series, and there's still a part of me that believes that. I think I would be surprised if they lost game 4. I don't know if that's worth anything to anybody listening or watching. I think I would be surprised if they lost game 4. I was not surprised they lost tonight. I thought before the game I wouldn't have been surprised if they lost tonight. I think they win game 4. We'll see if they do. Robert Cross, the starting lineup was and is a load of crap. Bridges to the bench now, period. Then get him out of town soft. Well, Robert, I got a little bad news for you. Mikal Bridges has a 4-year, $160 million extension that has not yet kicked in. And he just played the worst playoff game I think I've ever seen a Knick play, or at least this century. I do not think he's like a toxic asset, but he's a negative asset right now. And the only way that's going to change is if he does something good before they get eliminated. I think I agree. I said it already. I think they're going to change the starting lineup. I think he's going to be out. I think Duke's going to be in. Will that help Mikal Bridges? I don't know. I have my doubts. Thanks, Robert. Flatulente. Game 3 takeaway. Contenders don't go down 2-1 to this Hawks team. I'm burying the lead because that should have been the first thing out of my mouth. So good job by you. This team's been ripping ass in a contender's suit all season, and we finally ran out of cologne. Atlanta smelled it first. Yeah. There's a reason that national media people have been skeptical about this team, and frankly, players in the league have been skeptical about this team. It really was so telling when The Athletic did their player poll, and not a single player that they polled said they thought the Knicks would win the title. Meanwhile, somebody I think said the Hawks would win the title. Yeah. Hush with another one. Grateful for JB, but we are witnessing his worst playoff series, and his defense is getting exposed to a T. Are there real conversations about him in the offseason? Well, the only reason this is his worst playoff series is because every other playoff series he has played has been really, really good. Like probably his worst playoff series up until this point. Like statistically, you'd probably say the Cavs series, but he did more than enough to win in that series, and he did what was asked of him. And like, it wasn't a pretty series, but he did what he had to do. Probably Pacers series last year, which is kind of funny because he had some really high level scoring games in that series, but also, he was part of the game 1 collapse. He did nothing to help them win game 3. That was a CAC win, and he just didn't show up at all. Neither did most of his teammates, but he didn't show up at all in game 6. So I would say the Pacers series is worse so far. this has not been great. Conversations about him in the offseason. I mean, again, this is why I'm not like trying to tiptoe around just the catastrophic nature of what a series loss to the Hawks would mean, because I've said it all year. I said if they disappoint in the playoffs, I think Leon Rose is out. I am not backing off that. Leon Rose is his godfather. If Leon Rose is not the GM and they hire, fucking Bob Myers or Masai Ujiri or, whoever the fuck, I mean, how loyal is that person going to be to Jalen? I don't know. I think, there's going to, be some tough conversations, some analysis, but no, in general, do I think there are real conversations about him this offseason? That would surprise me. Wouldn't shock me, but surprise me. Like anything's on the table if they lose the series. So, Riyadh, what's going on? Haven't won a series. We trailed in the Brunson era. Yep. I said what I said before the game. I didn't say that. I don't say anything flippantly. I really did not say that flippantly. I thought if they lost the game tonight, I thought they would lose the series. And sitting here now, like, can they win the series? Of course they can. Should they? Sure. Am I sitting here right now, do I think they'll win the series? No, I don't. I think they'll lose the series somehow. Not even sure how. Thanks, Riyadh. Drew P. Oh my God, I just realized something. 2 minutes and 7 seconds in, and I feel awful for it. I was supposed to say a happy birthday at the start of this post game, and don't ask me why. I just remembered now. Something triggered my memory, but wanted to wish a happy birthday to Mark's son, Logan. It's his 7th birthday today. He's certainly sleeping right now, and I fucked up and forgot. So I apologize for that, and I will have to clip this tomorrow and send it to Mark and his son, and hope that his son does not hate me for this. But belatedly, that's 11:55, so I got 5 minutes buffer. Happy birthday, Logan, and shout out to Mark because he rocks. Okay. Thanks, Drew. Wait, no, I didn't read this yet. Drew P. Season ended on 12-5. 12-5. Season ended on 12-5. Starters. Giannis, please. What was 12-5? Oh, it's 12-5. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Drew. Anthony Sixto. What's going on, Anthony? Found something pressing, blitzing CJ in the second half. I agree. Forced misses, Cat steal, Deuce breakup. He feasts a clear first step to build. He needs a clear first step to build momentum. He struggled fighting through the press. P.S. I'm gonna go vomit. Yeah, no. Sorry, texting Mark. Yeah, and they should have figured but you know what? Guess what? Quinn Snyder, he's a good coach. He's gonna figure something out. He's gonna figure out an adjustment because he's gonna go back and he's gonna be like, they're gonna do this again, probably. What do we do to counter it? And they're gonna be ready for it. And you use that card tonight, and it didn't get you a win. Typically in playoff games, when you use a card, you want it to work and you want it to get you a win. Didn't get you the win tonight. Thanks, Anthony. Jess M. At least winning the cup was fun. My God. Will they raise the banner now for that? I don't know. Just sad and fear I'll never see a championship. Nights like tonight can't be easy for you, John. Thanks for being there for us all. Well, you're welcome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me the platform. I don't, I say a lot of shit on here, and I know I make it out to be like, it's hard doing this. It obviously it's hard because I'm a fan, and the only way that I can create content in the way that I need to for me to be effective is to be as emotionally invested as I am. And when you're that emotionally invested, I mean, I don't have to tell anybody watching. It fucking hurts. It doesn't get easier. I'll say that. Like being older and like having kids and like shit, whatever in life, like that I guess maybe it does get a little, but like I don't know. It's just when you make that deal with the devil as a sports fan, you take the good with the bad. And when the bad's really bad, it's really hard. And then when the bad is like portends worse. And I guess that's the part that I'm having a tough time with. Like tough losses, like I've probably gotten better at handling tough losses over the years doing this. It is the very strong growing feeling that we are witnessing the end right now. And that feeling that I've had off and on all year, and now feeling like, fuck, man, I didn't want to be right. And I'm worried that I'm right, that I was right. I'm worried that my gut was right. And I hope it wasn't. Thanks, Jess. Chris Dayton, what's going on? Chris, how are you? You and Benji tonight are why I ride or die with KFS. Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you, man. Knicks over Atlanta would love to see 2 and 11 on the floor more in games 4 through 6. Number 2, obviously, Deuce McBride. Number 11, Jalen Brunson. Chris wants to see them play together. I think that's a good idea. Although 2 isn't fully healthy yet. Notable that Miles McBride is not himself yet. He's probably not going to be himself until next season. So the fact that he came out there and he gave you what he gave you tonight, plus 16. We haven't talked about Deuce enough. Deuce was really, really good tonight. He's definitely going to be getting one of my stars of the game, along with Cat and shit. Oh, OG. That's an easy top 3, actually, in retrospect. Thanks, Chris. Thomas, John, Bosco, what's going on? Thomas, I hated Mikal's game. Well, only because you have 2 eyes and you use them. Other than that, you would have loved it. I hated the last game, defensive lineups. I hated starting the 4th without JB Cat, but man, how many second chance attempts did we allow? Get a loose ball and you win. So tonight, 18 turnovers for the Knicks. 14 offensive rebounds. I always look at those 2 numbers in conjunction because to me, turnovers and offensive rebounds, far more than anything else, that's the controllables. And we've been talking about him a lot, so why not mention his name once more? The biggest Tibbs thing, more than anything else, was control the controllables, which is why of all the tenets that he had, it always came back to rebound the basketball defensively, rebound the basketball, and don't turn the ball over. Take care of the ball and rebound the ball when the other team misses. Those 2 above all else. And then protect the rim, Now that has maintained to their credit. They have, although how many fucking minutes did we see that Fakakta no center lineup against a team with so much goddamn size? Hold on. I'm going to pull this up right now. Apparently less than I realized because I'm looking for it right now and they didn't play a lot of minutes. Here we go. You fucking asshole. OG, Brunson, McBride, Clarkson, and Hart. A lineup that, needless to say, has not played any minutes this season. Hold on, I'm just making sure that there wasn't another one that I'm forgetting about that didn't have. We also got 4 seconds. Sorry. We got 4 seconds of OG Anunoby, McBride, Hart, Shamet, and Bridges. Oh, that was the lineup at the end. Oh my God, it's funny. I was about to go on a little rant, and I completely forgot about the play that CJ McCollum scored on. No, on OG, Brunson, McBride, Clarkson, and Hart out there for 2 minutes and 27 seconds, outscored 5-8. Just fucking nonsensical. And then obviously the final possession for Atlanta. So why did I go on this rant? Oh yeah, control the controllables and like take care of like the basics, like protect the rim. And we even got away from that. In just some absolutely pivotal moments of this basketball game, including the most pivotal moment of the basketball game. So this is what I mean, Thomas. This is what I mean. The feeling like it is crumbling, like we are literally in a building and it's crumbling around us. Like the things that the old reliables, all the old reliables are just not old reliables anymore. Mind of Ye. I think I got that right. Ahead of the series, the one real advantage the Hawks had was the head coaching matchup. We lost game 2 and 3 because of that matchup. Boils down to that. Zero disagreement. They should be up 3-0. I don't even think this is controversial. If Tibbs was coaching the series, they'd be up 3-0. It's not controversial. Abby Lovesicky didn't think I could feel worse than my birthday on Monday. Shit, I'm sorry, Abby. Happy belated birthday, and I hope you're young, so you can just enjoy your youth. It would suck to have this all happen and be old like me. Although I guess if you're old, like my age, we're not that old. Now, if you're older than me, I'm going to feel really bad about myself, and my mom's also going to be very mad because she's older and she doesn't like when I refer to, her as old, which you're not, Mom. And you're not, Abby, whatever age you are. I'm just going to stop talking now. Thanks. Hushu, are we watching JB regressing in real time? Man, you're really going in on JB. I think he's had a rough series. I don't think he's regressing. I think he's had a rough series, a tough matchup. He's a little out of sorts. I don't think he's fully 100% healthy, but I don't know. When is he ever? Ben, what's going on, Ben? Why does it have to be either Tibbs playing Bridges 47 minutes in a January blowout against the Hornets, or Brown not pushing Cat or OG beyond 36 minutes tonight? This is the thing with Tibbs. You gotta you have to take the bad with the good, and the bad obviously bothered a lot of people enough. Did those high minute total games in the regular season, is that why they lost Indiana? Is that why they blew whatever it was, a 14-point lead with 3.5 minutes left to go? I'm sure there's people out there who would argue yes. I never drew that particular line of correlation. They were they had all the energy they needed against Boston. Pull off those comebacks. Well, thanks, Ben. Kevin Danishevsky. Wish we included Quentin Grimes in the OG deal with a few picks. Kept IQ for 4 for 100 and didn't trade for Mikal Bridges. JB, Deuce, Hart, OG, Cat, IQ, Mitch. Maybe we still make it happen. I think that IQ Bridge has... Well, I mean, I'll tell you this. If you're trading Mikal Bridges this summer, you're probably trading him for bad money. And I know there's people out there in the Knicks content universe who will put me up on the stake. Up on the stake? No, that's not right. Up on the cross. But do something bad with me for suggesting that Emmanuel Quickley's contract is a bad contract. It's not a good contract, and just like Mikal Bridges is not a good contract. So it'd be interesting to see, what they do there. If anything, maybe they do nothing. Trey Leday, what's going on? Finals hopes are dead. This iteration has peaked. I'm like, I have not, other than when I think it came up in another super chat, I have not thought about the finals once tonight. Not once. I'm purely in like, just don't be the most embarrassing team of this NBA playoffs. And right now they are on track to be the most embarrassing team of this NBA playoffs. That's where we're at. You just don't want to be that. Go into Boston and get beat. If you're going to get beat by Boston, because Boston's really good. God knows. You want to, oh my God. I just had a scary thought. You think Quinn Snyder is out coaching Mike Brown? Joe Mazzulla is going to stick a fucking, what are the sticks called? You like stick the kebab sticks? He is gonna shove one of those if they ever get to that series, is gonna, oh my God. He might break out a goddamn rotisserie. See Mike Brown spinning around. Remember like Kenny Rogers Roasters? I love walking into Kenny Rogers Roasters. What were those little black things they had? Flavor bombs on those chickens, man. Freaking delicious. Get the corn. They had the best corn too. Yeah, man. Mike Brown, they make it to the next series. It's going to be, oh, I want that one right there. Look at that. That has the juice just kind of, woo. I'm going to sink my teeth into that bad boy. Give me the two sides, the whole thing. Cornbread. Remember that cornbread? Joe Mazzulla, man, he's gonna have that napkin tucked right into his old little collar there with the knife and fork, licking his chops. Oof. That would be. Andrew just texted in the private chat. We need to wrap so John could go eat something. I haven't really eaten dinner tonight, so it's probably a good idea. Thanks, Trey. Brian, what's going on, Brian? They're staring down the barrel of dropping a humiliating first-round series while Cat plays the best two-way ball of his Knicks career, just like we all predicted. Yeah, I didn't call that one. I talk about worlds that I didn't see unfolding. Cat plays a great series and the Knicks lose. Did not have that one on my big O card. Which, again, credit to Mike Brown that we could be losing the series and Cat's played out of his mind. Thanks, Brian. Mark Sable, my buddy out on the West Coast. Hello, Mark. How are you? Hope everything is well. Haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah, hope everything's good. I can take losses like this or even an early playoff exit, but losing the front office, whatever their flaws, they are only competent front office we've had this century. Yet, ITVs are me who Dolan might replace them with. I think the first call would be Bob Myers. And to be very clear, like, I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment on if Dolan fired the front office. I mean, actually the guy that I wish he would be promote Brock Aller, but I think Brock might I think there might be some other interested parties in Brock Aller around the league this summer. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not saying it would be rational to fire Leon. I think Leon's done a really good job, and he has been a competent front office. I do, especially like being a lead basketball decision maker for a James Dolan owned team is really hard. It's the hardest. You could argue it's the hardest job in professional basketball. Yeah, I don't know. I frankly I didn't really want to have those conversations this summer. I wanted to avoid them for the time being. Yeah. Man, Anunoby, Towns, Brunson, McBride, Hart, 41-17. They outscored the Hawks. Meanwhile, the starting lineup was outscored by 11. That's great. Thanks, Mark. Ao Swavey. Last play, Dyson fell and stayed down. Give Cat the ball. Yeah, absolutely. Look, 100. Yeah, sure. Could have absolutely done that. Would have been better, obviously. I saw Dyson on the ground, and I was like, how did they not score there? Ends up trying to pass the ball to Josh Hart instead. That's why, for all the people like yelling and screaming about Nova nepotism, like tonight, man, anyone who fights against that doesn't really have a leg to stand on. Thanks, Ao. Hush Zoo, you got crucified by your peers, by the way, on that viral rant you had. I wonder if those people are still happy-go-lucky with this team. I mean, I don't give a flying fuck what anybody, like, in terms of other content creators. I mean this with every fiber of my being. If other Knick content creators hate me or hate my content or say that I'm an asshole or saying that I'm a bad job, that is the best fucking compliment that I could possibly get. I care about, one, what my newsletter readers think. And when I do wrong by them, when I write something that I know as I'm writing, I'm like, I don't know about this one, then I feel very badly. And after that, it's like people who are longtime listeners and watchers of the show, who know me, and know how to parse what I say when I say it and how I say it. Like, if I say something that upsets those people or that those people say is like out of turn, like people like Alex, who's been and like I've said I bring up him because I've said stuff at times where Alex calls me out, and I feel bad about that. But like, well, first of all, I have no peers because I'm the host of the biggest Knicks podcast on the planet. So sorry. But even if I did, I wouldn't give a fuck what any of them said. I've done this one way since I started doing it, and that is said whatever I believe, even if I know it's going to piss people off. I will continue to do so until I don't do this anymore. Thanks, Hush. With another one, by the way, if I'm Mitch, why am I staying in New York under Mike Brown? Great question. 11 minutes. 11 fucking minutes. And not in the game on the most important defensive possession of the season. What are we doing? What are we doing? Brian with another one. We got a lot of repeat super chats. Thank you, guys. Felt like JB drilled a huge percentage of his open threes in the last 3 years. He's been clanking them for months now. Can't convince me his ankle is remotely okay. So this is one of those areas where I'll have to defer to someone who knows, like, does a bum ankle impair you more on like 2-point shots than 3-point shots? Has he looked like himself for the last few months? No. The consistency hasn't been there. The shooting hasn't been there. I mean, just looking up right now, I'll look it up real quick. Since he missed consecutive games with the ankle injury, he has shot from three 34.7% from deep and 50% from 2-point range. So 34.7, 50, a little above 50% from 2-point range. Before that, he was 38.8% from 3, 53.6% from 2-point range. So bigger drop off in 3-point percentage than 2-point percentage. And then as far as the volume, 7.7 threes a game before he missed those 2 games with the ankle injury. Since then, 6.5. So he's taking more than 1 fewer 3 a game. More than 1 fewer? That doesn't sound right. But you get my drift. Come to think of it, I mean, he was 7 for 4. He was 50% from 3 coming into tonight. And now he's 7 for 19. Yeah. Thanks, Brian. Scott Thomas, what's going on, Scott? Interesting question. Does Jalen still get the max? It's the elephant in the room. Of all the elephants, of the cat elephant, of the Giannis elephant, of the Mikal elephant, of the every elephant, the biggest elephant by far, and I thank God I don't believe he is extension eligible this summer. I'm actually, he's not extension eligible this summer. I'm happy that can gets kicked down the road because he has made public comments about, I hope they do right by me. And at this point, it's like, who's going to be the GM? What is Jalen going to be? It's like, those are just like, I can't even bring myself to think about that stuff. Ja, so focused. What's going on, Ja? A lot of blame before JB in the series. I get your reticence to blame him, but you gave him the most blame for game 2, and he's been bad all series. Who's before him? How about the head coach? The head coach is in a different category. Like, Jalen Brunson has gone out there. He had one fourth quarter. I would say he had one fourth quarter in game 2 that was really poor. It was a really poor performance from him in the fourth quarter where his decision-making was poor. I thought tonight he came out. I liked his approach tonight. I thought save for literally a couple of shots where he went one-on-one with Dyson Daniels and it didn't work out great for him. And both of those were in the second quarter. I thought his shot diet tonight was like pretty good. I do want to obviously go back and rewatch the fourth quarter. I'm not doing that tonight. You could tell me there were a couple of shots in the fourth that were not great. Obviously, he didn't get the pass. He didn't like he has not played great. He's not played good in the series. He's been below average, but like he has played more than well enough for them to be up 3-0. At the very least, he has played well enough for them to be up 2-1. Mike Brown is evaporating before our eyes. Mikal Bridges, I mean, he didn't forget evaporation. You could see when there's water out on a hot day and then the water evaporates, you see like the remnants of it, Mikal's like, he was like, I don't want to spoil, even though it sucked, the last Wicked movie for anybody, but like he made out like the Wicked Witch, or not Wicked Witch. I guess that's the point of those movies, is she's not actually wicked. He pulled a what's her name? Elphaba? I think Elphaba. Yeah, he pulled an Elphaba. It's like, peace. Shit. Dying because the Knicks. It's a personnel problem. No true secondary shot creation. Not a viable playoff threat. It's that simple. OG desperation shots are not sustainable, you think? And then we got another one here. Quinn found an easy way to dismantle our predictable offense early on in game 2, and we have had zero answers against basic half-court traps. Gross. So you hit on a few things. One, when you trap Brunson, doesn't always get the ball out, can't take advantage of short roll 4-on-3. It's been a problem for years now. And I think part of that's on JB. Part of that is not having a guy like Hartenstein. He used to be great in those situations, both as a screen setter in terms of knowing how to set the screen and the angle to set the screen and all that kind of stuff, but also just a great outlet. So that's an issue for sure. Don't have the secondary shot creator. No two ways about that. Theory behind the team was that Bridges and OG's skill set would be able to help with that stuff. But like, you know, secondary creation in the NBA is kind of like being pregnant. You can't be half pregnant, can't be 3/4 of the way pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. Either you have a guy that's a threat with the ball, or you have a guy who's not a threat with the ball, like to run your offense, to make something happen when they have the rock. And right now, the Knicks have two of those players, and their names are Jalen Brunson and unfathomably Jordan Clarkson. And that's not where you want to be. And it is a big problem. And the only pushback I would have is like pretty much anytime you run Brunson and Cat in actions together, good stuff happens. And yet, here we are, and it's all the same existential questions that have come around for most of Cat's career, which is like, okay, who's it on? Is it on the coach? Is it on the point guard? Is it on Cat? And then what? Andrew, can you put up his last super chat? I'm sorry, I forgot. I forgot what his first point was. Maybe I addressed it. If I addressed it, then forget about it. Oh, okay. Never mind. It's fine. I'm sorry, dying because of the Knicks. Don't die. Andrew says I answered it. I'll trust that I did. Anthony Perino. Mike Brown should be fired mid-series for Mitch 11 minutes. I'm glad Mike Brown's catching a lot of shit. That makes me happy. Because he deserves it. And I like when people who deserve to catch shit catch shit. Bob Fakert, what's going on? We still have JB, and there's still going to be some pivot to a less frustrating team in the offseason, right? Also, Cat has been great this series. Funny stuff. Yeah. I don't... Bob, you could give me a list of 100 potential realistic outcomes of this summer in terms of like, this is how this summer will go. No, this is how this summer will go. This is how this summer will go. First of all, I think you'd be able to get to 100 different ones that are realistic. And second of all, you could tell me that any one of those 100 is actually what happens this summer, and I'd believe it. I am ready to expect anything. Truly anything. If this thing goes the way it appears to be going. Thanks, Bob. OBP, if we lose this series, what shouldn't we do? Fire Brown, trade Mikal and Hart, fire Leon, anything else? I mean, it's tough for me to answer that question without knowing what opportunities are available to them. You know, I think I mean, the Brown thing, like Billy Donovan's a better coach than Mike Brown. That's not even a conversation. So if Billy Donovan wants to come here and James Dolan's okay eating another, $40 million, then fire Brown and hire Billy Donovan. And that's one, I don't want to say one problem solved, but like that's, you've undid one mistake and you've solved it. Who's going to be making that hire? I can't tell you. Who should be making that hire? I can't tell you. Who should be the roster that Billy Donovan, that if he's the next coach, inherits? I can't tell you. Should Cat be on the roster? I can't tell you. He's been the best player in the series, and yet we had the same conversation after game 2, after game 3, after so many games over the last 2 years. Why are we not getting him the ball? Why can we not make him more effective? Like, do you just want to be out of the business of banging your head against the same wall? Which is why ultimately it all comes down to what's going on with Giannis. What does Milwaukee want? What else can Milwaukee get? What can you get Milwaukee? And so on and so forth. And there will be people, obviously, who will say, why would you trade for Giannis? He has all these lower yet leg injuries. He's 31 or whatever years old he is. And again, this may not be able to trade for him for a variety of reasons. They may not want to trade him. But like, just everything's on the table, you know? And yet you could tell me Bridges is back. You tell me Cat's back. You could tell me, you know, the only thing that I know 1,000% is that if they lose the series, Brown will be out. After that, you could tell me anything. Sam Garcia, can't believe we traded 5 firsts. Number 25, bum. Yeah, it's not ideal. Sam Garcia's dad. What's going on, Ray? Say what you want, but the Knicks had the final shot tonight, and the JB fumbled the ball away. Yeah, unfortunately. Flashback to Philly, 2024, Knicks in 6. Don't quit on this team. Flashback to Philly in 2024. I don't remember which game you're talking about. I thought you were going to go flashback to the Heat game 6 that he tried to pass to Julius and wasn't a very good pass. But 2024. I don't remember what game you're talking about.
I believe the sentiment that Ray is putting out there is that it took 6 to also beat the Sixers in 2024. So flashback to Philly in 24, Knicks in 6.
Kent, two series could not feel more different to me. And two teams could not feel more different to me. Beasley Puner? We got that right. Hold that L. Sorry ass Knicks fans. Hawks in 5. Man, you might be right, dude. At this point, you know, I don't. How much would Hawks in 5 shock me? Shock me if the Hawks came into if they won game 4. If they won game 4, that wouldn't shock me. It would surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. If they won game 4 and then won game 5, that would shock me. Hawks in 6 would not shock me. That wouldn't shock me. Nor would Hawks in 7. To be very clear.
While we do this, I'm going to look up what our friends at Fanatics Sportsbook say about Hawks in 5.
So I looked up before. It's essentially even money at this point for who's going to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess, if you could find it, I would guess Hawks in 5 right now would probably be plus 700, 600.
Plus 500.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Hawks in 6 is the favorite right now at plus 200.
What's Knicks in 6? Can I still bet on?
Plus
Or
400.
sorry, I meant to
Yes,
say
you
what's
Knicks in 6 is plus 400.
I fucked up. I fucked up the joke. I meant to say what's Knicks in 5.
What's
would have been funny.
Would have been funny. Listen, that's you guys' joke. I went Knicks in 6. So.
You did. Spanish Gadsby, what's going on, man? It's mind-numbing to force the 6-foot guard against a team literally built to stop that and not run more actions with OG and Cat. They have no bigs. Well, they tried to run a lot with OG today. I would slow your roll a little bit on the OG piece of that, only because OG shot 16 shots is not a ton. It's less than 23, which is how many Brunson shots. Got to the line 7 times, OG did, so got a lot out of his drives, even when it did not result in a shot attempt. You know what? I can't really push back as much as I thought I was going to, because for as much as when he gets blocked at the rim or he gets stripped, you know, that those sorts of moments are frustrating. There's a lot more good that came out of OG attacking the basket than bad. And he's absolutely been more efficient than Jalen Brunson in the series. That goes without question. So, yeah. Smalls, TSS Wrestling. The cup curse is rearing its ugly head. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Ab Height. What's going on, Ab Height? Fizdale is the Brown comparison. Shoft is Charmin. So, trust me, when I was going through the list in my head before, Fizdale came to mind. Fizdale doesn't make me angry when I picture him, just because I don't blame Fizdale for any of that. Fizdale was just the guy who happened to be here. Was he a good coach? No, he wasn't a good coach. Why hasn't got hired again? But, like, that thing was screwed 10 ways from Sunday. Which is why when I think of Fizdale, I don't get angry now. I get, it's like thinking of like how badly things devolved to get to that point is like looking back on it, I'm like, wow, that was pretty bad. I think Mike Brown is actively losing them this playoff series, which is something that I've never experienced as a Knicks fan. You know, Pat Riley never actively lost them a playoff series. Jeff Van Gundy never actively lost them a playoff series. Lenny Wilkins, the series that everybody likes to forget about except me, it didn't matter who was coaching that team. They weren't winning that series in 2004. Mike D'Antoni never actively lost them a playoff series. Mike Woodson, all due respect to the East is big man, I don't think he actively lost them that playoff series against the Pacers. And with all due respect to folks out there who believe that Tom Thibodeau is responsible for them not winning more here over the last few years, I don't believe Tom Thibodeau ever actively lost them a playoff series. Yes, I know he decided to start Josh Hart for Quentin Grimes several years ago. Maybe shouldn't have done that. This is such a different animal. What has been happening here, what we are seeing, it is. I like. Say it again. It's really unfortunate. Knicks fan 316. If it's this hard, we already have our answer. Again, not even thinking about that right now. I just want to get out of this series. I just would like to be able to talk about this basketball team as a basketball team for another 2 weeks following next weekend. I would like that. Kareem, what's going on, Kareem? Worst NBA basketball player of all time, Mikal Bridges. Everyone, love you guys. Let's get game. I think you mean game 4, but let's get game 4. Sam Garcia, would it kill them to give Diawara a shot? I mean, what you're proposing an answer? What's the question? So, to get more size on the floor, right? How do we get more size on the floor? Play Mohamed Diawara. Okay. You know what? I mean, you played Sham at 3 minutes tonight. Could you have given those 3 minutes to Diawara? Sure. Why not? I mean, you've lost. I mean, Shaman's effectively out of the rotation now, which is not something I thought I would say. Sure. Why not? Trey Leday with another one. Well, OKC wins by 12 and plays 11 deep. Different league. Higher variance. That's all it is. This team is at a higher variance all year. The thing that worried anyone taking like Knicks in 4, Knicks in 5, which begrudgingly I took like an asshole. The thing that worried you about those picks before the series was the variance. It wasn't the ceiling. Nobody questioned the Knicks' ceiling. It's the variance. And it's not only variance game to game, it's variance within games. It's both. It's variance within games and it's variance from game to game. And when you have that level of inconsistency, and I guess there was a notion that like, oh, it's the playoffs, they're going to cut out the silly shit. Guess what? I don't think the team has gone out there and like not taken these games seriously or not tried hard or like, you know, was there like were they playing with like a 9 out of 10 intensity defensively in the second half of game 2? Sure. Yeah. Maybe even an 8 out of 10. Should it be a 10 out of 10 for every minute of the playoffs? Sure. You know, is that, but even then, like, I just think because as people have been talking about all night, the Raiders conversations and all the other conversations, like, I think there's just inconsistency baked into their DNA based on the construction of the roster, based on just some of the players' strengths and weaknesses and the combination of those strengths and weaknesses with each other. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how you get here. Down 2-1. It's crazy. It's crazy they're down 2-1 in this series. Sean with a W, you're still here. Nope, not after this comment. I'm not, because apparently you are the last super chat. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show. Thanks to Kevin, who produced most of this episode. Thanks to Andrew for finishing up what Kevin started. Apologies again to my dear friend Mark and his son Logan, who I was supposed to give a shout out to for his birthday at the top of the show, and I completely brain farted, and I feel much worse about that than anything the Knicks did tonight. I think that's it. I will see you tomorrow at 1:15 for another edition of the Playoff Hangover. I'm not sure I have enough alcohol in the house for that one. 1:15 with Sean and Jeff, so that'll be fun. And then Saturday for another watch along, because those have obviously been going very well. And what time is that game? That's at 6 p.m. So see you at 6 on. So see you tomorrow, 1:15, 6 on Saturday, and then for the post game, what could go wrong? Anyway, see ya. Thanks. Shout out to Fanatics Sportsbook. And I think I got it. Okay. Later.